Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Matt, we are continuing this train of our road to the Oscar. I fucked that up. That's not what I wanted to say.
We're continuing this train down the track.
We're gonna train down the track and go to the Oscars. That's obviously. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna keep it. That's just how we're gonna start the show. I live with my failures. Listen. We got more Oscar shit we're talking about this week.
Uncle Roger, can you explain what he's trying to say? Oh yeah, I got you. All right, I got you, Ernesto. All right. You see what he's talking about? He's talking about going on a train. All right, you hop on the train, you pay your ticket. You got to be respectful. Don't skip out on the ticket. You got to pay for your ticket to go on the train. All right, and then when you go on the train, you go on the tracks. That's how the train works. And then at that point, you're gonna meet a guy named Oscar. All right, Oscar, I love that guy.
Oh, he's a lot about movies.
that Oscar, that son of a bitch.
So, yeah, that was a failure. So. We are continuing our coverage of the Oscars this week. Last week we kind of knocked out the animated category. We talked about all about the animated shorts, and we talked about the animated features, kind of recapping the ones that we missed and touching on the ones that we reviewed on last year. And I think this year we're doing something very similar, but with a couple of different categories.
Yeah, so we're kind of compiling 3 different categories. That's the main focus of this week's episode. And we are going to be diving into the leading actor-actress categories, as well as the live-action shorts category. And specifically in the nominees for nominees for actor in a leading role, we're going to be talking about Ethan Hawke's performance in Blue Moon.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of the one movie we haven't discussed yet in that category. Then we're probably going to be moving on to the nominees for actress in a leading role. And there's 2 movies we haven't talked about yet. One is Rose Byrne's performance in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, as well as Kate Hudson's performance in Song Sung Blue. So we're going to be discussing those. But before we talk about those movies, we're going to be going through the nominees of the live action short films. We had a chance to see all of them, and those shorts are Butcher's Stain, A Friend of Dorothy, Jane Austen's period drama, The Singers, and Two People Exchanging Saliva. So those are the nominees for live action short, and we'll be talking about all of those later on into the show as we continue our coverage of the Oscars. And I know we've been doing this for some years now. And I said this last week, and I'll probably say it again next week and the next week. I'm going to repeat myself. However, I just at this point, we're just patting ourselves on the back at this point. I think how we're doing it and how we're watching them this year feels less chaotic, more organized. And I think we were able now more than ever to kind of give almost every movie a chance to give it its due. Every short, every movie, every documentary. Rather than, I know in years past, we kind of just compiled everything and like kind of chaotic. This feels a little bit more organized, more tangible, I should say.
I mean, I remember the one year we did the very first year. It's like, all right, let's do our predictions. It's like, all right, well, I haven't seen that. It's like I've seen maybe 2 things on that list.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with this one. It's funny. It's like even though like then we would still be right, but like it just didn't feel like. I remember every year we'd be like, I feel like we should have done more, and then I feel like
Yeah.
every year we do a little bit better. I mean, this is the first year that we've like compiled them into reviews. I think we scattered them out. I think what we did last year is like we scattered them out. It's like, oh, I hit some of those documentary shorts. I'm gonna watch it, and then we can talk about it. Listen, like, and it would just kind of be sporadic. Whereas this year, everything's a little bit more collected. Correctly, I guess is the better way to put it.
I mean, it's more manageable,
Yeah.
100%. It's definitely way more manageable to kind of, and also it's just more of a goal. Like, all right, because we have a lot of shit we got to watch, but if we broke it down by weeks, then we have like a more of a vision, or like we we can watch with a purpose
Mhm.
and only have to focus on this section of the Oscars rather than like, oh well, this one was available this week, so we watched this one over here, and then that one was available over there. And this year, it kind of just panned out where like some, because some of these releases were kind of later, like Song Sung Blue and Blue Moon just hit streaming not too long ago,
Yep.
just like a couple of days ago, and so we watched them in the preparation of this, but that those two movies just so happened to coincide with when we were planning about talking those movies anyway. So it worked out really well for us this year.
They knew.
Um,
They knew.
they knew.
They wanted the streamers wanted to be there for our coverage specifically. For us here at Box Office Benders, they're like, you know what? That we got to give it to them. This is the week they're planning to do it. We have to drop it for them.
Yeah, if we don't do it for the bingers, who we're doing it for?
I mean, who else is Hollywood for? It's only for them.
Only for them.
Nobody else matters.
But yeah, we're gonna be discussing all of those shorts and movies later on in the show as we continued our coverage for the Oscars. But first, we have been watching some other things that's outside of our Oscar coverage, and so we're gonna be diving into a fun segment we like to call "What You Watching," and I guess we're starting with me. Yes, we are. So
Yes,
I
we
watched
are.
this movie in theaters. It's called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And I knew nothing about this, Ernesto.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason why this particular movie hit my radar was because I follow a lot of the Back to the Future pages. If you don't already know, that's my favorite movie. And they were talking about how this movie was taking heavy influences from Back to the Future. It was like kind of paying homage to the franchise. And I said, "Oh, okay." So, aside from that little bit of knowledge and the fact that I was doing a double feature in the movie theater, and this one just so happened to be starting at the end of another movie we're gonna be talking about in a few minutes. But it was like right there. It's like the perfect, like, I can watch this. I got nothing else going on today. So I walked in there and I just knew they had Back to the Future ties. I just don't know in what way. And also vaguely knowing this is a time travel movie. And then the title didn't really make much sense to me. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I was like, what does have this anything to do with Back to the Future? And then this was after the movie, which I'd rather explain before I talk about the movie. I later found out that this is a comedic duo, a Canadian comedic duo that had a show on, I guess, I'm not sure if it ever hit the US like to a big scale, but it was a popular-ish Canadian show called Nirvana, the band, the show. And basically, it was a mockumentary style of these two people who are trying to come up with this elaborate scheme in order to play at the Rivery that was in their local town bar.
Okay.
And all they want to do is play at this bar or this music venue. But it's also like a really small venue. And so apparently that's the shtick of the show. It lasted for 2 seasons in 2017 and 2018. So, and then I guess they lasted for 2 seasons, then it got canceled after that, and then I don't know, after what, 8 years later, 7 years later, they came out with a movie called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And so it's very kind of like I said, it's a mockumentary, it is a comedy, a little bit of spoof. I'd never watched the show. I don't know what the show is about aside from the shtick has always been we want to play at the Rivery. So now fast forward to this movie, and this is I found all this out after I watched the movie.
Okay.
But during the movie, I was like, I don't know what is going on.
Okay.
However, we have these two guys who are still trying to come up with elaborate schemes to play at the Rivery. And then after one of their elaborate schemes didn't work, they thought the next possible solution, valuable solution, was to build a time machine. So then they watched the movie Back to the Future. and then they figure out, after carefully dissecting the movie, they can figure out a way to build the said time machine, since the schematics of building a time machine was from the movie and explained in the movie. So then they took notes, they built the time machine, didn't work, then it did work, and then it took them back to 2008 from the year 2025, to the point where you see younger versions of themselves also trying to come up with elaborate schemes to play at the Reverie. And then there's also, at the end of the day, it's a movie about friendship, because this one person is kind of blaming the other friend, like
Mm.
internally. It was like, we're not successful because we're listening to your dumbass ideas. Like, we would be better off if I wasn't with you. So then there was a storyline that kind of takes place of, playing with time travel, that they weren't friends. And then now you're having this time travel funness of this ridiculous idea that all they want to do is play at the Reverie. But also baked in that here's this time travel story about friendship. And then also, the way that I took it at the end of the day was like a love letter to it was like a love letter to Back to the Future, but it also felt like it was a fan-made movie.
Okay.
Because they were taking heavy influences, not only with the plot of the movie, but also with the score of the movie,
Oh,
of
nice.
like heavy Back to the Future. And there were moments where they were like, since it was a mockumentary, there are people filming them. And there was one moment in the movie where they were like trying to play the score, like mouth it of the score to Back to the Future. And they were like, oh, we have to do like those really cool, like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, like those type of like noises. And then the guy's like, whoa, 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 we can't, like, we got to slow down on that with the copyright issues. And then they turn to the cameras like, can you imagine the copyright nightmare that this movie is going to be when it's all over? It's like we're going to have riddle with lawyers all over the place, just waiting to sue us for all this copyright stuff that we're putting into this documentary. And it's funny because that's exactly what they were doing. The music was just, since I've seen the movie a lot, the score was like just slightly off.
Like, it's pretty much there.
But it's not there. Like, the ending of the movie is them riding through an RV with like a weather hook,
Mhm.
just like in the movie, attached to a subcar cable line with a very long extension cord coming from the top of this building all the way to a plug into the streets. The movie is quite ridiculous, but because it had a lot of influences to something I'm very familiar with, you're kind of just along for the ride here. So this movie was made inadvertently for Back to the Future fans, but really has nothing to do with the movie itself, but rather just taking fun liberties with the idea of a very classic movie, while also making it its own thing, because it's truly about these two, the friendship of these two, and also spinning off of a show that they had 8 years ago.
So it's a good way for you to shut your brain off and kind of vaguely enjoy Back to the Future, or somebody else, another movie, appreciate Back to the Future for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
pretty.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's exactly what this was.
All right.
Because what was good for me was that I went to this blind, and so again, giving you the pretense that this was once a show, I had no idea. So I'm thinking this is just a creative, really silly way of doing this. And then now at this point, I think it did a really good job with its point, that it does make me want to see what the show was about,
Mm.
because now I have this connection with these characters and the stick that they presented in the movie. So I guess it's doing the reverse effect of like the show that inspired the movie. It's now the movie that made me want to watch the show.
Well, maybe there's quite a few other fans like that, and who knows? Maybe if,
Mhm.
you get enough traction, you could bring a show back like that.
Very true. There's also a really funny bit where they were because obviously it's a mockumentary, so you have a camera crew, and so I guess this camera crew has been following them for however many years as well. So they went back in time and they see them younger selves, like, doing something, and then they go like, "Hey, John, that's you filming us, filming me, filming you," and then like the camera just points over and you see a younger version of the cameraman pointing at them, shooting them and their silly antics too.
Very
And then
bad.
there was some very meta, and there was also some really funny plot points. Like, they recognized the plot holes in its own movie, and then they were like, "Wait, how are you filming me? You weren't in the time machine. How do you know who I am? And like, how are you still here?" And it's again, it's very meta comedy. It's a very niche comedy, but I think because it was so heavily tied to Back to the Future, I was just like, yeah, let's have some fun here. Why not?
You were here for it.
I was here for the ride. Yeah, 100%. So I'm not sure if this movie's for everybody, but it was for me.
And that's all that matters. As long as you
Yeah.
were happy, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I was the audience. It got me. All right, so I saw that movie, and then the other movie that I watched was The Wrecking Crew with Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa. Ernesto, before I say my thoughts on it, I know you haven't seen the movie, right? You haven't seen the movie.
I have not.
Based on what you think the movie is, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on your perception of the movie, and then I'll tell you what I think of the movie.
All right. So let's see. The Wrecking Crew. We've got both of them out in front. There's a helicopter behind them. There's some fire. So they are they a team? Like an unmatched team? Like Dave Bautista's like this guy's Momoa's being thrown on him as like the new guy. It's like old cop, new cop.
No, actually they're brothers.
Oh, so they are, but are they some kind of team that fucks shit up, I'm assuming?
I guess it turned into that.
Okay.
But yeah, they were estranged brothers that kind of got separated at a young age. So they weren't really on talking terms for most of their lives until the passing of their father that brought them back together. And apparently their father was involved in some crazy shit, and now that crazy shit has been now put upon them, and they have to deal with the fallout of his passing because people are now looking for the thing that the father was hiding. And then Momoa was at the funeral, and so then now they got kind of tied up into the shenanigans of all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess,
Yeah.
this movie's like mid for you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think the poster says it all. Like, even with the trailer, I wasn't really gonna watch this movie.
But you
Like,
did.
it feels like a generic action movie, and the plot doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it was, because when we were getting the like exposition of where stories matter, they're primarily focusing on the action and then quickly releasing dialogue in order to get to the next action bit, just to kind of have us follow along. And it's based on the whole movie looks like it was based in Hawaii, so you get some good visuals there of like pretty shots of the island and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, ultimately, I really wasn't here for any of it. Like the action was entertaining. Like if you're looking for a dumb action movie, this is it. Like if you're familiar with these as action stars, this is what you got. Like it was trying to be like a buddy, like a buddy. It's not really a cop movie, but like kind of like that vibe, like a buddy cop movie, um, action comedy, but it wasn't really funny. And like it has like the guy who was I forgot his name already. He played Peter Parker's friend in the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, Jacob something. No, that's not him.
I think you're close. You're probably there somewhere. His name is Jacob Batalon. Anyway, they also have the young girl who played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch. She was the daughter of Dave Bautista. So I guess they just found every Hawaiian actor and said, "You're in this movie now."
It's for Hawaii. Come on.
Come on, be with your people.
Support the arts.
Yeah, I think I saw like from the trailer, I didn't think I was going to be much of it, and then I saw the reviews, and they were like, "Oh, this is a fun action movie." It's like, all right, if it's a fun action movie, I can live with this because I do like Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa separately on most projects, so I figured let's give him a shot. And I honestly didn't see the connection.
I love
it wasn't as strong as I thought. Like say. Like, honestly, I was hoping for, like, a John Cena, Idris Elba type of, like, "Oh, wow, this was a good buddy action movie that, surprised me," and it was not. That was also on Prime.
See, and I love Dave Bautista. I mean, I think he's great in everything, especially like action comedy movies.
Yeah.
There was the one he did with that little girl, My Spy. I
Oh,
think it was like that
I
was a good
yeah,
movie.
yeah. Yeah, it was pretty solid. Like, every wrestler has to do a movie with a young child in it, I guess, at some point. The Rock has The Game Plan.
That's
Uh,
true.
Jason Momoa, I think, did the Slumber movie. I think it was,
Oh.
like, Slumberland that was on Netflix. That was his but he wasn't a wrestler, though, but,
I was gonna
um
say I don't remember him wrestling, but I get
no,
what you're saying. Like,
you gotta say, I'm
yeah,
sure John Cena, he's done, like, a little kid movie at some point.
Vin Diesel did the pacifier.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah. I'm definitely missing a John Cena movie where he did something.
The Rock, the Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy, yeah, he
Journey
did
to
that,
the
like,
Center of the
3-movie
Earth.
deal with Netflix with Disney.
Yeah, like everything he does now. He's Maui. I mean, come on.
He's Maui. Yeah,
But
exactly.
but at least well, and actually I could say this for The Rock too. I mean, given his recent role last year in Smashing Machine, and Dave
Mhm.
Bautista, he was in Blade Runner 2049. I mean, he was
True.
in Dune 1 and 2, and he is not Dave Bautista action star in those movies. Like this, I mean, Dave Bautista's got some range.
That's very true. He does have range, more so than, I guess, earlier on for, like, Dave Bautista. He's kind of given himself some variety.
Mhm.
And he was also in a movie called The Last Showgirl, with Pamela Anderson and
Oh, I didn't get to see that. Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, and he played like the owner of the venue, and that was a very dramatic role for him as well. And I think, even with Guardians of the Galaxy, it was an action comedy. However, there were some serious moments in there that gave him some range too. I think earlier on, Dwayne Johnson made himself into this action movie star and was kind of in that shtick for a
Mm.
very long time, but also made him a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find a movie with John Cena that it was meant for children. I'm not there yet, but maybe he never did that.
Why don't no? I find that really hard to believe.
So
There's not nothing
okay. Playing with Fire, he played a cop.
or a
Sorry, he played a
firefighter.
firefighter with Keegan Michael Key and John Leguizamo.
Wasn't that like a Nickelodeon movie?
Uh,
It was definitely a
maybe
kid. It was
it
definitely a
stars
kids
those
movie.
3 as firefighters and like 3 little girls. So that, I guess, that kind of works. Movie's PG. He was in Bumblebee, but that wasn't a kids movie.
It's like an older kid movie. It's not. It's not like a little kid movie, but it's also not like a teeny bopper, like teenage, like full teenage. It's like more of like an older kid movie.
Yeah, I guess that's the closest one. I'm going down the line here. I'm not seeing,
That's actually kind of
like,
surprising.
it is surprising. Like, I'm in 2013 right now. I'm not seeing like that one movie that's like, oh, that's it. He's done a lot of, like, animated movies.
Those count, I guess. He's done like a lot
Yeah.
of kid animated movies.
Yeah, he was in he did Ferdinand, which was probably his bigger movie. He played the bull.
That was a big movie. That was a huge movie. Wasn't that
Yeah.
movie nominated? No, was it?
I have no idea. I went past it. He was also in the Daddy Home movies, Daddy's Home. Primarily in Daddy's Home too. Let's see, was Ferdinand nominated?
Probably not.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, nominee for Best Animated Feature Film.
Let's go. See, I thought I remembered. I thought I remember
I know
seeing that.
things.
I know some of the things about the cinema. I know
It was one of
Hollywood.
the last movies from Blue Sky Animation, which is the same studio behind Ice Age, and like, it was owned by Fox, and that was probably one of the last movies that came out before the merger with Disney. But yeah, okay. Anyway, that's not a conversation I thought we were gonna have today. It's like, let's go look down at his John Cena's filmography on a movie that has nothing to do with him.
But he did do. But he didn't do like the action comedy one. But he did do a lot of kid movies.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But I think Play with Fire it definitely fits that category.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of that. It's maybe not as popular as like The Game Plan or The Tooth Fairy or The Pacifier or My Spy. for Dave Bautista. It's
That's how
like
we
I said.
started.
Then,
That's how we started that trend. We
yeah,
started
yes,
with Dave
yes,
Bautista in My Spy, and then we spiraled into John Cena's filmography.
yes, yeah. At this point, you can't go wrong with a big muscular man dealing with children. That's apparently that's comedy gold.
It kind of is, though. I mean, I guess it works. There's so many movies where that works. I guess it's like the Gentle Giant kind of thing.
Yes,
Because it's
yeah.
all there's
And
all, that's always like the one of the tropes is that like the kid always calms that man down to be more in touch with who they are inside, as opposed to dealing everything physically and being angry or whatever.
yeah, I guess that's the
Right?
stick.
Isn't that the
Yeah.
shtick? I feel like that's like always a common theme in those movies.
Yes, like you know what you're getting out of it. And even going down Jason Momoa's filmography last year, which I forgot he did a Minecraft movie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, big kids movie.
100%.
Yeah, like the biggest movie, one of the biggest movies last year.
Yes. He did that movie with a young girl or a young, or I guess not young girls. Well, there were children and adults in that movie, but it was a movie for kids, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then was there anything else that came close to that? I don't like I said he did a movie called Sweet Girl, which I think he played the father. So that doesn't really count. It's more of an action movie. Let's see. Obviously he was Aquaman. Yeah, a movie called Slumberland, which is on Netflix, which is definitely around I think he was playing some sort of dreamlike character, and then also starred a young child, and he was kind of along for the ride there. The movie was PG as well, so yeah, they've all done it. They've all done it. Anyway, that's besides the point. The movie was fine.
Okay.
We got on a tangent here. The movie was fine.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on
So
to a movie we've both seen.
This is something we both saw that I'm this. So did you see it before or after I told you to go see it? Had you already seen it at that point, or you didn't see it?
No. I mean, it was not. Honestly, it wasn't until you said, "Hey, go watch this," and I was like, "Okay." Like it was on. I was gonna watch it eventually, but as we typically do with one another, you're like, "Yo, you gotta watch it before the next record." I was like, "All right, we gotta talk about it." So then, like, one person influences the other. Is like, "Yo, you gotta watch it." for the pod.
Come on, do it for the fans. Do it for the 12 people watching.
Do it for the 12. 12 strong.
12 strong.
They need to know our thoughts on the latest movie.
Come on, they're waiting.
They're waiting for it. They're like, where the fuck is that Send Help review? Fuck. Send Help on your review for Send Help. Shit. What do we pay you for?
Nothing. They don't pay us nothing.
No.
Well, anyways, on Send Help, I would actually say I actually really enjoyed this movie. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, Rachel McAdams is like this unassuming woman that everybody takes for granted, and she gets, I think the whole Survivor bit, I thought that was really funny. Like, the plane's getting ready. We're gonna talk some spoilers here. So, like, the plane gets ready to crash, and then they're watching her Survivor video, and then it immediately, like, she has to go into like savior mode of like trying to save herself, and then the one guy who's an asshole to her like tries to take her with him, and she fucking stabs him with a fork, and then you watch him get stuck on the side of the plane. I mean, I don't know. I felt like the whole suspender thing, like that paid off so well. Like having him whip him with the suspenders, and then just having them like be prominent the whole time, only to have that be something that's used in the end when the plane's crashing and you see his body smashing against the plane and he's hooked on by his suspenders and then smashing into the window. And then just like, it was just such great timing. She just like closes the shade.
Yeah, she's like, nope.
She's like, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good then.
I don't know. I felt like there was quite a few twists that like maybe kind of saw them coming, but I don't know. To me it worked. Like to me the movie clearly sent a message that you should be nice to everybody. It's that you should not take people for granted, and you should be nice to everybody.
Yeah, so I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with Sam Raimi.
Okay.
And I love the Spider-Man movies. You know, Spider-Man 3, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
But like Spider-Man 1 and 2, fucking bangers, man.
Especially Spider-Man 2.
Sorry, say it again.
I would say especially Spider-Man 2 overall.
Yeah, overall. And over the Halloween season, the spooky season, last year, I typically try to watch, you know, some horror movies I've never watched before. And one of which was that I saw the Evil Dead trilogy, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness. I know that spun off into Evil Dead versus Ash, which was a TV show. And then there is now a string of sequels that are kind of standalone that takes the Evil Dead brand, but not really tied into the Sam Raimi verse that he created.
Yeah.
I think if there's anything, I think the correlation is just Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then the TV show. And I think that's it. And then there was an Evil Dead reboot, which is basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original Evil Dead. And then there was Evil Dead Rise, which was apparently extremely well received. That came out a few years ago. That has also nothing to do with the Sam Raimi version. And now I think coming off of that Evil Dead Rise, there's a movie coming out later this year called Evil Dead Burn, I believe. And that is, I think, is spawning off the Evil Dead Rise movies. I think those two are connected. However, so that's I saw those three movies, the Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And he has a very unique style of horror that within those three movies, I did not care for. I didn't care for it at all. It was very silly. It was very wacky. It was not the horror I thought it was going to be. They ended up being more horror comedies than anything, but yet it's for a niche audience and they go for it. And then moving on to Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, again, one of those movies were directed by Sam Raimi, and it was a Sam Raimi movie first, and then it was a Marvel movie. And I had a problem with that because it didn't do any services to Doctor Strange, and it didn't do anything for, you know, my either enjoying Sam Raimi movies or not in that regard either. I felt like he took a lot of liberties that felt a little bit unnecessary, a little bit wacky. And I feel like with this movie, Send Help was a good balance between what I do like and what I don't like about Sam Raimi. And I feel like the parts that I did not like were part of his shtick, which is going back to the suspender scene with him like crashing on like the plane. Even what's before that, we sometimes get these really close up, dramatic, visceral images that I feel like was a little bit unnecessary, but also that's part of his shtick. So like him just smashing on the plane and you just see like his face just get like absorbed.
Yeah.
Or like just taken off was like, okay, a little much there.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But then we also see that later in the movie where it was like when she was hunting the boar, that boar was like hideous. It was like really like visceral, which was got the point across that it was like an angry boar, but I felt like in some of those moments just didn't feel like it felt really out of place with what the rest of the movie was. And that's kind of where those moments kind of took me out. Even when you had like between like when Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams were fighting each other toward the end of the movie and he was like gashing out her eye and like you can see the eye kind of popping out a little bit.
Yeah.
It was visually gross and I get the idea of it, but I just feel like that was done intentionally.
Yeah.
And not like it didn't serve anything for the actual like for the most part, this whole movie is grounded, and then you do like some silly stuff like that kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit.
I could agree with that, especially like that in that same fight scene when he rips a piece of her scalp out.
Yes,
like same thing. Although that boar killing scene when like he kept coming back to life and she just keeps stabbing him and there's all that blood. And then she just throws it right in front of him. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It was pretty funny. Or when when she fucking starves him. Oh, you're gonna be fine by yourself, and just leaves him there. And then we literally watch him go through like the stages of withdrawal. Like, all right, come back now. All right. He's like looking at his watch, and you see his mouth getting dry, and he starts to like cry. It's like.
To your point, those liberties right there. Like that is Sam Raimi. Right there.
See, but to me, I guess
Yeah.
in the environment, like it just really worked for me. Like I don't know, I thought it was really really fun. I mean, the whole when like he tries to like knock her out, but he like ends up poisoning her, and then she comes
Yes.
back, and then she cooks him like that squid or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll eat it, and then she's like, oh, you're paralyzed completely, and then you're us, including him, are sent to believe that she's gonna about to cut his dick off, but then
Yes.
like but. I just like the way that he set that up, because then like we all think that's what's gonna happen, but then it ends up just being like a rat that she did, and she's like don't I love the way he set it up, because then she like leaned in real close to him. She's like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness, and I was like, ooh,
Yes.
it's like, damn, that shit, that line hits hard right now.
Yes, it does. It hits really hard. And what's funny, what I do like about, I think it's less about the story, more about the way that it was directed, which is the stuff I like about Sam Raimi in this
Mhm.
particular movie, was that he did things in a way where I did not know where we were going next. Because, and also credit to even Dylan O'Brien's performance, because I thought there was a moment, which the movie did a really good job kind of insinuating, that they were just at peace being stuck on the island.
Mm.
We knew that Rachel McAdams was a little crazy, mainly because probably 2 weeks in, like it was probably like roughly 2 weeks or so, she saw like there was some safety there. We saw the boat.
Yeah.
And so we knew that she's like, not yet. Like she wanted this to live out a little bit longer. And so like at this point, she's a little bit crazy. But at the same time, you're like, oh, well, he kind of deserves it. But then there's a certain point in the movie, he's like, I kind of feel bad for him. This guy's dick just got chopped off. But just kidding, it's a rat. And to your point, that scene was really effective, because with all the other shit that happened before that, I would 100% believe that she would have cut off his manhood
Yeah.
to prove the point. I would have believed that. But then she made a point. It's like, hey, like, don't confuse my kindness for weakness. Like she basically established she always had the upper hand. And but she never fully trusted him, even though in her kind of crazy way wanted to create a life for it with
Mhm.
the two of them. But he was never about that. But I would ask you, as far as you're watching the movie, was there ever a shift for you that obviously Dylan O'Brien was a piece of shit guy?
Yeah.
Was there ever a flip? Because I feel like there kind of was. Like you felt sorry for Rachel McAdams. She's getting her comeuppance. She's getting her due because she's kind of sticking it to the man. She's like, you're an asshole. You're a piece of shit. You deserve what's getting to you at this moment. Was there ever a moment where you felt sorry for Dylan O'Brien and thinking maybe Rachel McAdams has gone a little too far?
Well, I mean, obviously she went too far. I mean, clear,
Yeah.
it's very clear. But what's funny is that I didn't really feel sorry for him. I felt like for the most part, he pretty much got what he deserved.
Mhm.
Just based on like how they set him up in the beginning. I mean, the whole like just the way he treated her in the beginning, the whole tuna fish thing, and staring at her and then mocking her, and then bringing her on to this thing, and she's back there working, like busting her ass for this company, and they're all 4 or 5 of them are sitting up there like laughing at her in front of her face.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, yes, obviously he went too far, but I felt like they did a really good job to make you stay on her side, at least in my view. I was like, damn,
Mhm.
he got what he deserved. Nah, he didn't need to die. Maybe what should have happened is that she should have incapacitated him permanently, so that he would be permanently in her control. Like maybe he can't talk or he can't communicate or do
Mhm.
anything, but he's just there, and like she's like, she rules everything over him. But I don't know. I like the way it ended. Like it just, I don't know.
Yeah. I felt like to me, I wasn't fully shocked with the twists, quote unquote twists of the movie, because I think it already established that she was kind of already kind of going off the deep end, like mentally. Like she's so observed in the survival instinct that she doesn't want to leave it. But also she likes having the basically similarly to what Dylan O'Brien was in The Office.
Mhm.
He loves that power. And I think Rachel McAdams was also craving for that upper hand, that like, I have the upper hand now. I have the power. You need to listen to me. And I think that is what kind of fed her into like at this point, like committing murder to his poor wife and the I guess the boat driver that she had hired. And eventually like she was able to find, I don't know, maybe like a month or so later, it's probably like a month given or so, just around that time where like Dylan O'Brien's wife ends up or fiance ends up finding Rachel McAdams and then takes her this long convoluted way up the mountain and then was like, "Oops." And I had a little problem with that because saying what the rocks form back together to create the fall again.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about this. See, I thought it was still broken off, and then like maybe just another piece had broken off.
Well, that's what would make sense. However, it didn't look that way. It looks like, oh yeah, those rocks I put them back together just in case somebody can just
just in
trip on
case,
them again.
just in case I need to.
Just in case I need to. But yeah, I felt like that there's like I feel like at that moment for me is when she went too far.
Yeah.
Like she went like really, really too far.
Well,
Like
I think
granted,
I
well,
think
I
that,
guess earlier on when she found the boat and decided not to say anything about it. But
but I think even then, like it was more like, yeah, it was kind of sinister, but it was still like I think we were still okay with it. But I think that was the point because they even made it a point where like, you know, she had to think about it because I think even her as a character knew that this was a line that you shouldn't cross. And
right.
that if we're
And
gonna cross it, we're gonna go all the way.
at this point, yeah, and I think that's kind of a good like directorial and story choice to make her commit.
Yeah.
Like once you cross that line, you are now far gone.
Yeah. Like there is
Um,
like once you hit that guy with the rock, it was pretty much game over for Dylan O'Brien.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. And then also, I found it really silly that when Dylan O'Brien finds his wife, you just see the hand sticking out with the engagement ring conveniently placed in like this horrific way out of the sand. And he was like, "That's my wife's hand. My wife's dead. That's my engagement ring. Oh no!" And
I
it's
mean,
like,
they did
okay,
they kind of set it up with the boar because the boar is kind of what uncovered it, but it was kind of
yeah,
weird that it was perfectly out and like it wasn't mangled or messed up and
right.
like she wouldn't as a survivalist she wouldn't have buried her a little bit deeper or in a different part of the
I don't think
forest.
she buried her at all. I think she just
But
fell
she
off
was
the
but she
cliff.
wa- but she was buried. It was just her hand sticking out. So like, did she
You think
wash
she
up?
was buried?
It was just her hand sticking out of the ground, wasn't it?
Yeah, I yes, it was, but I thought that she fell off the cliff, where they both fell off the cliff, and then they were just gonna rot there. Like, and then like maybe it was within the ocean, and so they were either gonna sink down the ocean, maybe the shores brought them back, and she just got kind of buried in the sand with everything else. I never thought that she went over and buried them.
Oh, I guess that makes more sense because I was wondering, it's like, but it was so perfectly in the middle of the sand, like it wasn't close
Yes,
to the
yes,
shore. She wasn't really washed up. She was perfectly covered except for her arm and the ring hand.
yes. And speaking of which, you get that cheesy jump scare where you think that she kind of came out of the water, like his fiance came out of the water, and she's like, "Why'd you do that?" Linda, I believe her name was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you like right behind her, you get like this cheesy jump scare that comes behind her, and she was just a dream and everything. Yeah, I think because I always had suspicions that Rachel McAdams was always up to something. When the finding or the discovery of the house, like this nice, rich, fancy house that was always there, never surprised me.
See, I was surprised. See, I thought it was just the boat. See, I was surprised by that because but then it just adds to her crazy. It's like
Yes, it
you
definitely
had
does.
this access, like you were this connected to getting back home, where you could have went in this house and called somebody up to come get you. Like to me, it was just another layer. Like we already thought she was insane because she let the boat go, but this is like next level insanity that you had like direct access to get to everybody and you
Yeah.
chose not to. And you've like gone through and ransacked the house and you're like talking to him on the intercom. It's like, wow, you've really established yourself here.
Yes, yes, and obviously you can tell she was in her element. I personally thought because this is why the house thing that wasn't too surprising. I personally thought this was all an elaborate plan. Like I
Ah,
thought she had, you know, she was the person who made the plane go down. like maybe she like was messing something internally and she forced a plane to go down. Maybe she was the one that kind of pulled him out of the water that they failed to show us.
Mm.
Um, maybe it was like this larger elaborate plan to just torture her boss.
I thought that too, especially because she made a brief mention in the end in the exposition where she's like, "Why do you think we're the only ones to survive?" It's like,
Right.
well, I don't think she was. I think she's just opportunistic. Like I think, like she
Yes.
survived, she made it to shore, and once she saw him, I think once she saw him is when the plan started to enact.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think ultimately it was just like she was just taking advantage of opportunities when they came about. But I thought, like this whole time, I thought it was a much larger plan that she had from the beginning. Once she felt like she was screwed over, and then was like, okay, well, they're going to invite me onto this thing, and because they were really focusing on like she had all these Survivor books, she was watching Survivor. I thought maybe the tape was fake in a way. Um,
Oh, I see what you're
and
saying.
so, like, this was all like this grand master plan that she had. Clearly, that wasn't the case, um, but yeah. And then also, and this sometimes it's funny where they're just like, "Hey, we have this gorgeous actress, and we're gonna like, make her not look pretty in this scenario." And then as the movie goes on, we're gonna make her look more and more gorgeous. With like, she's in her element, her hair's down, she's using the coconut to soften her skin a little bit, and she's like, she's more showing like less revealing or more no less revealing clothes, I guess, because she's obviously in the element and not like baggy clothes she was wearing all the
Hmm.
time. And it was one of those things where it's like, she's fucking Rachel McAdams. Like she
Even when
don't,
you try to make her ugly, she's still gorgeous. Like get out of
yeah, yeah.
here.
What are you talking about? I never bought that ammo too. And all of a sudden she's like in the water and she lets her hair down and everything. And it's like, yeah, nothing changed. Like,
Yeah.
you just put your hair down.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Still pretty.
You weren't all of a sudden beautiful.
It's like, where have you been all my life?
Yes. But I did like, and I give credit to the performances of Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. I thought there were moments of genuine, like, hey, you know what? We're kind of like stuck here and we're just gonna make the best of it. And it did feel like and I think they were playing along with it, that there could have been like some romance here. But ultimately that was never the case. And I think the movie did a really good job of like subverting the expectation where like they could have been kind of just adapting to this lifestyle. But then there's always this moment where like, Dylan O'Brien, what the fuck you doing? Like you building a raft, trying to poison her, you dumbass. You got yourself killed.
I actually really love that scene because like right after she's like, "Oh yeah, it didn't work because you didn't do this, or this," and like bitch, you know exactly how to build a raft to get out of here and us survive. And you're like, to me, that was her message to him. Like, I know how to build a good raft. I'm just choosing not to.
Right. Well, I mean, it's funny because there's like in two sense, right? They are both right. Where she's like, we could build a raft, but that's not my primary focus as a survival instinct because we don't know what's out there. Like
Which
you
is
can build a
true.
raft to get yourself out of there, but we don't know how long it's gonna last. And like I get it. Like that part makes sense too. But there was also a part that kind of worked a little bit where like you go all the way back to the beginning of the movie where Dylan O'Brien was being the boss, obviously, and she was really heated that she didn't get the promotion that she obviously deserved. But then his corporate bullshit reasoning in his way and in some like fraction of the way did make sense in the sense of like, yes, this guy does not know like anything of how to do the job. However, I need a right hand man and someone who's good with people in order to be in this position, in addition to knowing the work. And he didn't know the work, but he was like, "Oh, you're just going to catch him up to speed." But he knows the people skills. And as a corporate, as a business, that is also very important if you're trying to swooze other people. That clearly she was having a hard time with, like connecting with the people in her office.
Mm.
So clearly she lacked the people skills in that front as well. So I even that front, even though I know he was wrong, it was like that corporate like mind fuckery made sense in the way too.
But what's you actually bring up a really interesting point because then that also ties into the very end because at the very
Yes.
end when she comes back, she is all of those things plus the things that he gave her feedback on.
Yes. Yeah. So and what's funny because you said like you're just not ready for it yet. And then we go to like that was the beginning of the movie, and at the very end, taking everything that she learned, probably from him as well as the survival stuff, and she's like getting that power that she was craving this whole time, or that kind of unlocked once they were on this island. Then I believe that also gave her the confidence to one, I guess, commit murder, and two, which was on the fence of whether she killed her husband or not. Still don't know yet, but I think that story that she said it was genuine, and the fact that like she feels guilty for handing him the keys
She
rather
feels,
than
yeah.
deliberately giving him the keys, knowing he's gonna get into a car accident.
So it's very reminiscent of to the plot twist in His and Hers, where the first murder that person was involved in was unintentional, but then it's like, well, if I'm involved with killing that person, then this next person is going to be a lot easier to kill.
Yeah,
just gets easier and easier.
If that was by accident, well, wait, what I could do on purpose.
Yeah, it's like that was on accident, and I got away with it. It's like, what if I actually planned this shit?
I'll be really good at it.
But it was also really, I think, really ties into the end where it's like, at first she's like this in the beginning, she's like this meek person who's like trying to be everybody's friend. So like, trying to get in the beginning, she's talking to them about karaoke and like trying to join in, like trying to be with everybody. But then like, she gets to her element and she becomes this other person, and then she becomes corrupted by the power. So it's that dynamic of her and Dylan O'Brien just inverse, and she just carried that with her when she came back. Like, you think you said it right. But then it was also really funny is that when she's in the car and driving away, the song she listens to is the karaoke song she recommends to them in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and then she also, again, very Sam Raimi cheesy way, just directly stares in the camera.
Yeah.
And like smiles. And I was like, again, didn't need it. Okay, it's fine. But I just felt like the ending wasn't as like a gut punch as I wanted it to be, as far as like, okay, you killed Dylan O'Brien, and then at a certain point, you made yourself available to be found. And then at that point, you found a way to basically take over the company and make it your own. And then also she took up golf, which was also another thing that he had said. Now you brought it up.
That's a good point.
She was like, "Oh, I need someone I can play golf with," and then she picks up golf.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this movie's got a lot going for it. It was better for me than better than I thought it was going to be.
I agree with you, because like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with Sam Raimi. I wasn't fully on board with I feel like I got the idea what the premise was.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think everything surprised me with this movie. I feel like some things were unnecessary, but as we were having this conversation, it started making me like the movie more of like diving into its themes,
Yeah,
and the performances, rather than like the blanket story that it presented like on the surface level. There's a lot more to this.
yeah. I think that for me, the themes is what hits. Like that, I feel like they nailed that part of the story, and like calling things back and just kind of making, like, even if there's some slapsticky shit in there, like the story is so well written that it kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, a little bit. And on the topic, we haven't really done much of this year, but I do want to talk about the box office, because I feel like this is probably one of the bigger hits of 2026 so far. Probably the first big movie, I would say, that came out this year. And so right now the movie's sitting at a critics Rotten Tomato score at 93%, which is pretty impressive. And then it has an audience score of 87%. So clearly favored across the board. This movie had a budget of $40 million. And it opened to roughly about $19.1 million opening weekend. At the time of this recording, it has the domestic total of $49.3 million domestically, $24.2 million internationally, with a grand total of $73.5 million worldwide, again on a $40 million budget. So I would say it's doing fairly well for itself at this point. And I read an article online early this morning where it said that Send Help did a really rare thing, that between because right now it's the 30th, so we're approaching week 3 on this. So in its third week, between week 2 and week 3, it had only dropped 0.8% in the box office.
Mm.
So it had a less than 1% drop of what it made from week 2 to week 3, which is like it didn't hit the top 3 because of the new releases. However, to have that minimal of a drop
Yeah.
is unheard of. And it just proves that at this point, good word of mouth and not pulling your movie out of the theater after the first 2 weeks can show growth and benefit to
Yeah.
what it was back in the day where movies sat for about a month.
Yeah. That's a good
But
point.
there are some movies nowadays where it's like, well, it didn't do well the first 2 weeks. No one's going to watch this movie. Let's just put it on VOD and get some money that way. But I think this movie is showing its staying power. Now, granted, not every movie is going to be like this. I get it. But like it's showing its staying power that if you believe in a movie just a little bit, it could come out with big returns if you let it sit in the theaters for a minute.
I also think, and I didn't see it in 3D, but I could see like there were certain elements in the movie that I was like, well, that was clearly made for 3D. I mean, I think that helps too, is that this
Yeah.
movie's actually made to be watched in 3D.
Yeah, I can see that. I purposely did not. Like I could have saw this movie like a couple days earlier than I did, but the only option that was available when I was watching it was like it was in 3D, and I was like, I really don't care to watch this movie in 3D.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. So I waited a couple more days until a time fit my schedule. But yeah, I think it's really impressive of the staying power that it's been getting. And I think it's because it's just the positive word of mouth. Like I was skeptical when I first heard about this movie. I didn't think it was gonna be much. Especially on a January release date. And I think it was proven a lot of people by surprise, and I think a lot of people are going after it. And I think this is a different role for Rachel McAdams as well. Like you don't see her in this type of like visceral, like kind of a horror-ish horror thriller vibe. I think that's kind of what this maybe not horror, but I'm not sure exactly what this movie would be classified under.
Horror comedy, maybe?
Dark comedy, psychological horror, physiological horror, horror thriller. Yeah, so I guess it is a horror thriller.
Well, she is used to being a mean girl, so
It's true, true. But I think this is like a different role for Rachel McAdams. That like this is not something you would typically see her do. And also, again, kind of the wackiness of Sam Raimi a little bit on that. And I was reading an article that Sam Raimi enjoyed working with her so much in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness because she had a small
Mhm.
ish role in that movie, and he felt that she had so much potential, but she was underutilized in that movie that he was a part of. So then he's like, he knew at that moment he wanted to bring her on for a future project, and that was literally his next movie. And
but it worked.
it worked. It really did. 5-star rating.
I'm gonna go 4, even though I'm really kind of floating to 4.5, but I know that you're not, so I'm gonna go with a 4. And I bet you're probably like at a 3.5.
No, I was at a 4.
Oh, okay, I was right. the
I
first
was
time.
I was at a 4, like solid 4 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 4 out of 5 ain't bad though.
No,
Like
that's not bad.
not a bad way to end out the month of January, where I feel like typically January, February-ish time, you get a couple like not a lot of bangers coming out of the theaters around that time. But this was like a good like you get one good hit in January.
This was it.
And this was it. All right, so that's our I guess I wasn't planning on it, but that's our spoiler review on
We kind of
Sen-
did.
Hey, we got shit to talk about. We're gonna talk about it. So now let's discuss. Let's go into now our Oscar coverage. And we're gonna first talk about the nominees for live action short. Like we mentioned before, we're gonna be talking about Butcher Stain, A Friend of Dorothy, Jane Austen's period drama, The Singers, and Two People Exchanging Saliva. So we're gonna start with the first one, Butcher Stain. Ernesto, your thoughts on this particular short?
It was really interesting. I think it gave us an interesting point of view about freedom of speech in Israel during this wartime. How if people don't like your point of view, they'll do whatever it takes to get rid of you. Like the guy who was pretending to be about his friend, excuse me, then he lied about him, tearing the posters down because he thought it was him, and just based off his political views that he posts online. Even though at the very end of the short, we see that it was just a broken AC knocking off whatever cheap ass tape that they have on there.
Mm-hmm.
They were ultimately using it to hold it up and to hold it up, and then ultimately ending with him speaking up to get his and then sorry, I was mixing up my notes, but he like that moment at the end is what gave him the fire to want to go fight for his son. That people are gonna like you no matter what. So it doesn't matter what my views are. Like if I'm supposed to be with my son, this is my time. This is my time with him. Because I thought it was interesting that we had these like two events happening kind of side by side.
Yeah.
But then once you get to the end, you realize, oh, in the beginning, he's like very nice with people. Like, yeah, he may say what he wants online, but like, you know, he's a different person. And I thought it was interesting that they made it a point to show that he was not the same person that who he was online. That's not who he presented it to be, even though that's what he thought. Like people are going to make their own assumptions about you.
Yeah, and to me, I took this as like a cautionary tale.
Yes.
Of
100%.
like, granted, yes, there were other factors at play here with like the things that were happening in the wartime, and also I wanted to give a description of it. The short is called Butcher Stain. It follows a character called Samir, an Arab Israel working in the supermarket
Israeli.
in Israel. Hold on, let me start over. Samir, an Arab Israel working in a supermarket in Tel Aviv,
Yeah.
is accused for tearing down hostage posters in the break room. He sets out to prove his innocence to keep his job that he desperately needs. And I think at that point, the secondary story of him, I think that kind of hones down home of why he needed this job in the first place, because he wanted to maybe get a better life for his kid and just be there for his kid more, just like afford to have all the, the bills that kind of keep piling up there. I think that's why they kind of showed that story. But I think you're right. It definitely felt like two separate things that were happening in the story, like him as a father and kind of going through what seems to be a split parentage.
Mm-hmm.
You have your kids on certain weekends and stuff like that, but it looked like that the baby mama was abusing said privilege, maybe because he wasn't available, or like, hey, this is my week or this is my weekend. It's like, well, you weren't here on time, so I'm just gonna take him.
Yeah.
And I feel like really?
Well, he ain't
Like
gonna.
he was a few minutes late.
Yeah, but it's like, well, he ain't gonna say nothing, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna tell him how it's gonna be.
Right.
Because he just let
And so-
he just let everybody walk all over him, and they can say whatever they want to him, because as long as he did his own thing and kept his own way, then it wasn't an issue. I mean, he was even accepting the fact that he was a cheap butcher. Like they made it a point, like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get rid of Samir. It's like, well, what other butcher are you gonna get that's gonna work for minimum wage? And he
Right.
heard that and didn't complain about it. Like he was just like, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like if it to your point where he's like, I'm already being accused of all this stuff. I'm no longer gonna fight it. I'm gonna stick up for myself. Like I lost this battle
Mm-hmm.
at the supermarket because he lashed out. Like that was something that he did. Like he verbally like lashed out against the other person in a public setting where other people can see him in the supermarket. So I think that was enough for the manager to kind of fire him on the spot. So that was the true only thing that he did wrong there, rather than kind of in taking his emotions. Otherwise, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong, and he was just being falsely accused of something that he never did. And then he felt like he can trust people, his other coworkers, who are the ones that were turning his back on him anyway, even though they all assumed it was him, but never, and then lied about that they physically saw him do it. And I think the only thing they had bases off of is that maybe they saw him in the room, and then like they saw him in the room at one point, and then when they came into the room when he was no longer there, the poster was down.
Yeah, they're like, well, given how you talk on social media and like your
Yes.
disdain for the war, and you're the only person who comes in the morning, like it has to be you. Who else could it be? Like,
And I
God
think it
forbid
was
that
a
they
good-
believe. God forbid they believe the person who they work and see with every day.
Right. And I think they also made a really good point of like kind of casually talking about the AC.
Yes.
Like, oh, the AC is not working, it blows when it wants to. That was a good setup for what ended up being the payoff of
That's a
like
good point.
the AC was the one that was tearing down the posters. And then even when he knew that, he didn't say anything.
But I think that was like his realization. It's like it
Yeah.
wasn't even me. It wasn't anybody. But because of who they think that I am, this is what they believe. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just like the themes and the messaging on this one like really hit the nail on the head. I felt like it was just very like it just made a lot of sense. It just flowed really well. The story was really well done. I really enjoyed this one.
Yes, so did I. I thought there was a very strong message in there of like either fighting for yourself or believing in yourself, but also there's other factors at play that you're just unavoidable. And yes, you unfortunately were a product of like what was going on in the world, and you had to like lose your job over it. Um, but I guess in some way, stay true to yourself. And I don't think things are going to work out 100%, but he was able to gain some sort of confidence in himself to like, hey, this is this is my time with the kid.
And it
I'm gonna
wasn't
take him.
and it wasn't like in your face. Like the
No,
message wasn't in your face. You kind of had to put two and two together. They didn't spell it out for you, but they also it wasn't so vague that you didn't get it. I don't know. I liked it. I really enjoyed this one.
yeah, I did like this one too.
All right, so then moving on to the next one, we are talking about A Friend of Dorothy. A lonely widow's quiet life is upended when a teenage boy accidentally kicks his football into her garden. I thought this one was cute. I mean, it was like
Yep,
it was kind of like a beautiful friendship story. I could have watched a whole movie on this.
100%.
Right? I don't know, just the way that
100%.
it was shot, just the kind of the way that it was put together. Like I would have loved to have seen her life leading up to when they met, like a little bit of preamble with maybe with her son, like seeing some interaction of how disconnected their relationship was and kind of like what his life was going to be after the will and she gave him the book and the check and all that. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, so do I. I think to me, what really kind of struck home was when they were having that moment when they were after forming this relationship, and they see the relationship that like her and her grandson had, and was like, "I'm just here to check up on her. I'm a very business oriented person. Like, all right, come on, grandma. Like, do whatever. Like, clearly could care less about what the grandmother's doing." And they had this really emotional moment where there was like, ever since you came into my life, you are the first person and probably the only person right now that sees me for who I am. And they were both sharing that connection of like feeling seen. And it
Mm.
was very heartwarming and very emotional that like she's at the end of her life and he is that toward the beginning of his as a teenager and kind of, unsure about his sexuality in the process of that, and then like and also unsure about what his passions are because his parents want him to go into sports, but clearly he wants to be in the dramatic, into the arts, and she is very well versed in giving him not only the tools but the resources to learn more about some of the better arts out there rather than football. And then she was able to kind of come alive again of like you being herself as a mentor to this kid. And then also the fact that I don't think race played a huge part into it, but I think there's also something a little bit about it where it's like, well, here's this young black teenager messing around or hanging out with this old white woman all the time. Like it's like an unlikely friendship that was bonded through there as well. Again, not the point of the story, but I don't think it was unintentional either.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it was a really sweet way to like kind of showcase that friendship can be formed in all, no matter what age you are.
I mean, also like her just going back to when you're talking about her being seen and just her mentioning that, her and her son were disconnected, or maybe they never even were connected. And uh, maybe her having this relationship with this young man like makes her realize what she didn't have and will never have with her son and her grandson.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really, again, quite sad.
Yeah, it was very sad, but
Very sad.
almost like hopeful because that's that kind of the circle of life. Like obviously none of us live forever, so it's kind of like as somebody who's just getting their life going to meet somebody who's already lived their life
Yeah.
and like somebody who's done and seen it all. You can kind of see that, okay, well, you can go down this other path and still have a successful life. You don't have to go down this predetermined path that somebody has already set out for you.
Yeah. And not only that, at the very end of the movie, giving her a book, and you see how like selfish and like nonchalant like the grandson is like, why is this guy here? And then you see the whole short take place, and he's like, and then you have a matter of $50,000 going to. He's like, oh, okay, all right. So what is he getting? Like he's worried that he's losing out on some sort of inheritance. And then he was like, and then well, she just wanted you to get this book. Like, oh, just some dirty old books. Oh, okay, we're done here. We're good. I got the money. He gets the
Whew.
books. Fine by me. And then dips out. and then very specifically like turn to this page and like you'll get all that you need. And it was separately another check for him and also a flyer to be like, basically go follow your dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that was like her last dying wish of like, I'm gonna help out this one kid, kind of hopefully fulfill his passion. It was a really sweet and a kind of emotional short that I also enjoyed.
Same.
All right, moving on to the next one, we have Jane Austen's period drama. We are in England, 1813, in the middle of a long-awaited marriage proposal. Miss uh, Estrogen
Estrogena.
say it again. Estrogena Talbot gets her period. Her suitor, Mr. Dickley, mistakes the blood for an injury and soon becomes clear that his expensive education has missed a spot. This was clearly a dig on romantic period pieces. It even says Jane Austen's on the title. It was kind of a satire as well as a spoof on Jane Austen's period dramas, as it says right there, and kind of playing along with the word and being kind of really clever with its writing.
Yeah, it's very, very tongue in cheek. I mean, because like his name is Mr. Dickley, her name's Estrogena. There was a couple, I can't remember their names, but there was another one that
I'm pulling it up now because I think one of the sisters had a very close name to vagina.
That's right. It's like Virginia or something. Or
Virginia, that's what it is. It was Virginia.
It kind of made sense. And for those who don't know, it becomes like a very quick comical education on the female menstrual cycle.
What the other sister was named Virginia and Lavinia.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and then they had the other person named Mr. Bits or Mrs. Bits. There's another person named Dr. Bangley.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then obviously Mr. Dickley as well. So yeah, the names were kind of very comedic. I think to me it was very short. It's only 13 minutes long. I think it drove the point very clear of what it was doing.
But it was short and sweet because it was in and out and it kind of got to the point and like it didn't hold on the joke for too long. Whereas like conversely, where like A Friend of Dorothy, I could have watched a feature film. I feel like this was the exact runtime that it needed to be. Like,
yeah, I think it flowed really nicely too.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if I could watch a feature on this because like I feel like the jokes would get old very fast.
Yeah, or if there was like another spoof comedy of this sort, can like to your point, either be a bit within a longer bit of the short or of this. Like I feel like if this was a series, this would be an episode of said series.
Yeah,
and then if they want to do like other fun like comedic bits throughout the season, this is kind of where that fall into that as well.
Short 20 to 30-minute episodes.
Yeah, short 30-minute episodes. But I honestly, speaking of the series, I wouldn't mind have seen a serialized version of a spoof of Jane Austen's like Sense and Sensibilities type of deal. Like that's like that type of comedic. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other comedic dramas like that. I know they're out there, but I think this particular style really worked, and it was very quick.
Yes.
Like the comedy was like a joke per second type of deal. It was like every 10 to 20 seconds there was a joke about it, and it felt like one of those like things you would see on YouTube done by other comedic like YouTubers. Where that's to me, this is kind of what this felt like. It's like if there was like, honestly, you know what? I take it back. This is an SNL sketch.
Yes. Yep.
This is an SNL sketch.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, like I mean, they last just about this long anyway. Like this would be at the start of your the start of SNL. This would be like the first one of the skits that you do or sketches. But honestly, I laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought it was really clever. And I think it drove the point across pretty effective.
Yeah, 100% agree. So we now move on to the singers. An impromptu sing-off will decide the best singer in the bar tonight. I'm gonna be honest. Out of all of them, this one was it was fine, but it was the most forgettable. it was fine. The music was like the guys were pretty good, but I didn't feel like a centralized story. It kind of just felt like everybody was going through their own thing, but yet they all came together at the end. Like they're all so different, but yet
Mhm.
they share the similarity of being able to sing at the end.
Yeah, I agree. This was the weakest of the bunch here. Like, it's kind of crazy to see that, like, for example, uh, a friend of Dorothy was Disney Plus in the UK acquired it. So like we couldn't see the short here it wasn't available on Disney Plus here in the US, but it was available in the UK. So like you could have seen it through Disney Plus there. So technically Disney Plus got the rights to that short. And then Jane Austen's period drama was available through the library system, through Canopy and Hoopla, so you could have watched it through there. And so, like, those make sense, but like those were already taken for Netflix to want this one specifically. When I feel like if they really wanted something better, so to speak, Butcher Stain that was available probably would have been like on the Netflix. That fits more the Netflix library than this short did. That just didn't hold a candle to any of the 5 nominations that were here. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I didn't quite get the point of it, as opposed to which now I see. What I didn't honestly, never read the poster where it says a guy walks into a bar. Sure, like if that's like your tagline and what happens in said bar, like this guy was like what roughing people to get a free drink or a
Yeah.
cigarette, and then is like we're gonna do a sing off, and then like people in the bar all of them apparently are actually really good singers, and they're all one upping each other. It felt like a comedy, but also it didn't. Yeah, I didn't get the point of this.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one. Like, I don't really, I apologize. I don't really have much to say on this one because
Yep,
that's kind of
that's fine. That's fine. It's
that kind of is what it is with that one. Like,
Yeah, it was only what 13 minutes. It wasn't that long, and it was just people singing in a bar, and like them all like to the point where there were people who were just silent and just kind of being disgruntled and like trying to be on their own, and then based off of this silly idea that the bartender had just to get a free drink and some money that's on the wall, um, they like whoever's the best singer, and they all kind of like was one in it for the competition, but then through the power of song kind of came together, whereas they were separated in the beginning of the short.
through the power of song.
Through the power of song.
You know what's funny is that I bet that if I looked it up, I'm sure that there's like some deeper meaning and a bunch of shit that we're missing. But it just for me on the surface of what they delivered to me, it wasn't there without having to do further research. I'm sure that's like, oh yeah, well the singers here in this moment are really connected to this because of this and that. I'm sure that there is some
Yeah.
vast explanation that helps you appreciate this more. I just on the surface level, I did not receive that.
Yeah, and maybe as in the same vein of last week's episode where we were talking about the animated shorts and the Three Sisters one, I just went right over my head, and I was like, I don't know why this is here. There's always one short that you're just like, what?
Okay.
Okay, like what's going on? It's like it's to the point. It's like I'm sure there's a deeper meaning. I'm sure people of the Academy, the Prestige Academy, saw something in this that felt like it deserved the nomination. But us, people in normal society that don't have that notoriety are looking at this, and you're just thinking, "What the
Why?
fuck, man?
Like, hey, why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?"
Why
and
is
so,
this
and
here?
also Netflix put money on it too to have it streaming on their streaming service.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This is the one in this category where it's like, I don't know, man. The Oscars be Oscaring.
You know, there's always one. There's that one.
There's
Although
always that one guy.
I don't know.
We'll call this the Oscar of the group. It's like, oh, there's always one Oscar.
Although I feel like this next one is probably like a close second. Like I did enjoy it, but it was really very, very strange.
But it had something to say here. And that the last short we're talking about is two people exchanging saliva. It kind of goes into this world and a society where kissing is punishable by death. And where people pay for things by receiving slaps to the face. And then it follows Igene,
On Gene?
Agene, Angene, an unhappy woman who shops compulsively at a department store. There, she becomes fascinated with a playful sales girl. Despite the prohibition of kissing, the two become close, raising the suspicion of a jealous colleague. I think this opened up a really unique world that though the presentation of it was very odd, I was intrigued and I had a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's all I have. All I have are questions. What was the purpose of it being in black and white? Why was the currency of people being slapped? Like it was strange, and I did kind of like the love story that they built around these two women, and like this fascination that they had for each other. But I just left myself wondering. I left with more questions than answers.
I was reading somewhere about the reason for black and white, and I think it had something to do. I think ultimately it just fell better with the aesthetic, but I think it had something to do with the department store that they were filming in. I was reading somewhere that they only had a few hours per day to film at the department store because it's open like 7 days a week, and it closed, I think, rather late. I forgot exactly where they were filming, but they only had about like 6 hours a day to um to film at this department store, and for them to set up all the lighting that it needed to do this effectively, it just became too time consuming. So I think in order to save themselves on time, they chose to present it in black and white to kind of get away with some of the production aspects that they had. But conversely, it also, I think it played better for the movie or the show overall. I think that there was some like good aesthetically pleasing like I think it worked better since it was black and white rather than color. And then as far as the slaps and the kissing is prohibited, I feel like this is no different than if we were to watch a dystopian sci-fi movie with their own convoluted rules to it. So I was kind of
Yeah.
on board with the aspect like, yeah, in this society, we pay for things with slaps. And what I found interesting with that is that like people were using makeup to have bruised cheeks
Mhm.
because I think the bruised cheeks were able to showcase how rich you were.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, when she would go to pay stuff, she put on that diamond glove. And,
Yes.
ooh, get the good. That's 26 slaps.
And I feel like in some ways is like so anybody can be rich, right? Like does pain does it hurt that much that you like if that's the all you have to do is sacrifice slaps like to the face. Like anyone can be rich at that point.
What about the other thing about like brushing your teeth with garlic, or it was like the garlic gum, or
Yes, they wanted to make it as displeasing as possible to not have the urge to kiss people because they were also like breathing down like before they go into work they had to like somebody had to sniff their breath. And I don't know if like brushing your teeth is shown negatively in this world.
yeah, I think so, because then that was like her whole thing that she told the police, question mark. She was like, "Oh, I caught her brushing her teeth in the bathroom earlier."
Yes. Yeah, I do. I to your point, there was a lot of questions, and I think like kissing some. It wasn't didn't seem like it was kissing somebody publicly. It was just yeah, it's just where kissing is just punishable by death, so there's no affection whatsoever.
Yeah.
So the currency is slaps, and you're not allowed to have affection. Yet you have partners in this world, but yet you. I don't know how one like gets together. I'm not that in that particular sense of like what is your signs of affection if it's not what society norms all in this society. Which I wish they would have maybe explored that a little bit to kind of give some context on that as well. Overall, I hear you. I had a lot of questions going out of this, but I felt that it was very interesting overall. And I think, I'm not sure if it's trying to have a deeper meaning of like we're killing people for nonsensical reasons, as far as like just kissing people in public or just kissing people in general. I found it interesting, but also left with a lot of questions at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like it was just weird. It was
Fair enough.
weird. I don't know, man. It didn't like I had finished it and I go, I have more questions than answers. Like I finished the
Yeah.
thing and I'm more confused than when I started this thing.
That's fair. And as we wrap up our, reviews of the live action short films, which ones that I think we already know, but which ones that kind of connected with you the most? Like which one has some legs to stand on above, I guess, the rest?
My top two are gonna be Butcher Stain and A Friend of Dorothy. Those are gonna be my two front runners.
Yeah, it's weird because with the Academy, it can kind of go either way
Mm-hmm.
on it, and it changes from, can you put up the holographic again?
Oh, for
Um
for the shorts, yeah.
yeah, for like yeah. Yeah, it depends on what they're feeling because honestly, aside from the singers, that one I can't see that winning at all. But I can see the Academy gravitating toward any one of these for different reasons. But I think the stronger two, in my opinion, are A Friend of Dorothy and Butcher Stain. I think those two are strong in their own right,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it understands like it got the message across of what they're trying to do. But yeah. So anyway, that's our reviews on the nominees for live action short film. And so now we're going to be going into. Let's first start with let's before we go into Blue Moon. There we go. Yeah, let's talk about the nominees for actor in a leading role. And we have a pretty interesting list here. Last or 2 weeks ago, we talked about or through in previous episodes we talked about all of these. In a minute, we're going to be talking about Ethan Hawke and Blue Moon. But briefly, I want to discuss the other performances around here. We have Timothy Chalamet and Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, and Wagner Moura in The Secret Agent. Pretty strong list here.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so. I mean, for me, the clear front runner would be Michael B. Jordan playing Smoke and Stack in Sinners, just being able to cultivate two different characters and you're literally playing against yourself. I mean, there's something to be said about how well both performances technically are.
Yeah, and clearly right now Timothy Chalamet has been winning awards for best performance by lead actor. He's been taking it. He took it the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes, as well as Wagner Moura won the Golden Globes for the drama category and for him as well. So he's also getting some notoriety and some awards for his performance as well. So as far as the people who have awards under their belts, Timothy Chalamet and Wagner Moura has the upper hand here. But I think every one of these performances has a reason to be here. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another was a standout performance for him as well. I mean, he's amazing in almost every movie he's done. But another standout for him in that movie. Timothy Chalamet, he is Marty Supreme.
Yeah.
That is his movie. Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, like you just mentioned, double the Jordan, double the fun. Like he did a phenomenal job playing those two characters and making them look different and distinct. And then again, Wagner Moura, he was the secret agent in that movie as well. That movie focused on him. So I think as we kind of migrate to Ethan Hawke's performance in Blue Moon, this is a very strong category. I don't see any reason like there's no weak link in the bunch here, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think they're all pretty great. I mean, like you as you just mentioned. But I guess let's dive in to Ethan Hawke and Blue Moon. So Blue Moon tells the story of Lorenz Hart's struggles with alcoholism and mental health as he tries to save face during the opening of Oklahoma. So Oklahoma, for those who don't know, that's like the start of Rodgers and Hammerstein's, like, as before they pretty much take over American Broadway. So it was kind of an interesting aspect to see, like, Like how did he handle that towards the? I mean, that's because in this basically was like the decline of of his career, and we kind of
Mhm.
see him go through these musings, like about love and his career, and kind of just like it's almost like a reflection of his life and like what the opening of Oklahoma kind of meant to him as an individual.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of those movies where it's a very niche audience that you're making this movie for.
Yeah,
Not only like this is a uh like this was what back in the early 1900s,
yeah.
and so if you weren't familiar with this particular artist who had passed away in the what um or like was it 1918,
It's like I thought it
1917,
was 1940s, 1940.
1940s?
Yeah.
That's I went way too far back. Um but yeah, it's like for unless you're like basically a Broadway nerd and you know about this guy's filmography, I did not. Or not filmography, his like his songwriting, like history, and they pointed out in the movie that he wrote like over 1,000 songs. I had no idea who this person was, and what like um what his achievements were, or why we're this movie was about, and it was very similarly to another movie that we watched. What's the one we watched with David? Oh no, it was The Smashing Machine. Very similarly to that. If you weren't familiar with this person's career, you did not know the impact of this movie and this point of his life. And so I feel like this movie was made for the people who are familiar with what's his name?
Lorenz Hart.
Lawrence Hart's career, and then also understanding this was a small period toward the end of his life, as he was going through the hardships of watching his partner put out a masterpiece of a play that was Oklahoma, and getting rave reviews about it. And this was like the first project that he did without, um, you know, you know, um, Lorenz Hart, as a collaborator. And then you also, and it's kind of sad too. Like honestly, at the beginning of this movie, didn't care for it. Like it was a lot of trying to keep up what was going on.
Hmm.
The dialogue was fast paced. This acted as a play, and we've seen this in many movies before. This very feels like it was all centralized in this one location, and this could have easily been a stage play. I don't think we ever went anywhere further than the lobby and the bar
Mm. And an
of this
alleyway,
whole.
and the alleyway where they show him dying in the beginning of the
That's
movie.
right, in the beginning of the movie, that's right. But then after that, it was pretty much centralized here, so I give it credit for being creative, but, like, it took me a while to kinda keep up with the dialogue and understand where this is going.
Yeah.
However, I think by the end of it, I was able to follow along, and I was kind of feeling sorry for him
Mm.
for all of the stuff that, like, yes, he has all these accolades, but because and then you can see it with, Andrew Scott's character as he was playing,
Richard Rogers.
Richard Rogers, like, you can see that, like, "Hey, man, if you didn't become an alcoholic, and, if you were just able to kind of amend that, we could have continued to do great things together." But then he kinda slipped into loneliness and despair, and this long lost, like, fake love that he's kind of presented with this college student that he's infatuated with, coming this false romance behind it. It's and at the end of the day, it's a really sad story.
It is, and what's really interesting about the romance. So Margaret Qualley's character Elizabeth Whalen, this is actually based on real letters discovered by the screenwriter between Hart and a young Yale art design student named Elizabeth Whalen. They
Mm,
corresponded, and there was some romantic, idealized connection. Same thing in the movie. She was younger, around 20, to his late 40s. However, this film's specific interactions with her presence at the party, and like this, them all being at the bar, um, that's like all dramatized for emotional depth. Like she wasn't really there. But this relationship that they had, this idealized relationship that they portray in the film, that was real. So that to me, that's just so sad because like he was so infatuated with her, and she clearly just was using him so that she can get ahead in her career.
yeah, and I'm sure there was I mean, I think I would like to think that there was some genuine, like, care for one another, but just not in that way as they showcased in the movie. I think because this movie is also nominated for best original screenplay. I mean, at this point, this movie was appropriately uh, given the nominations for the right things, which was this was a showcase for Ethan Hawke.
I mean,
Like
it's super
he,
dialogue heavy. Like, I mean, it's like the whole movie is basically one big monologue for him. And apparently, there's no CGI. Like, they used a lot of camera tricks because I guess Lorenz Hart in real life was very short,
mhm.
and he was bald on the top. So Ethan Hawke actually shaved the top of his head and did a comb over. So like, that's not a bald cap or anything. That's the top of his actual head.
And alone for that alone, he gets the Oscar nomination.
No, but I 100% can see the nomination just for
Yes.
like there's when you're doing a role like this, I feel like there's so much pressure on did you capture the essence of the real person? Like
Mhm.
how much of the real person did you get right? Like how were you did you honor him? Are you like a caricature of what he actually is? But I felt like he made him in like I don't know the person in real life, but it seemed very genuine.
Yeah, I think Ethan Hawke played it really well.
Yeah.
Of like, here is this like kind of way this pretentious asshole who is like very familiar with his skill set, and he's like kind of honors himself as this high esteem, and he's very clever and quick with his words to kind
Yeah.
of get what he wants as well, but at the same time is unable to get what he really wants, which is maybe just more success or just like the girl at this point. Like, he's not the man he once was, and I think he personally recognizes his downfalls, but is also a trap to it as well. Like, he can't get himself out of it. Like, even so, like, he told the bartender, like, "No, like, I don't want any like, I'm not drinking tonight." But yet, like, he takes like, "I just need just one little sip just to get me through," and, like, the bartender just kinda gives in, and then the bartender also gave, like, the other kid a shot, like, when he like, the male like, the delivery boy, and then, like, he takes the shot, takes it down behind the bartender's back, and then hands it to the delivery guy to make sure that he drank it and not him. And I just felt like that was, like, he was very quick and very clever,
Yes.
and he was very smart, and I think ultimately is, like, he was just getting in his own way, um, of his own success, even though he had plenty of success, and he was well regarded in the industry, but everyone still recognizes his flaws, and even so much so that and according to the movie, his most recognizable work is something that he did not like.
Yeah. But I think that ties into like like how pretentious he was. Like he just,
Mhm.
nobody wants to be a base, like really shitting on Oklahoma and like undercutting the true, amazing Broadway that it is. And it is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's still they still do it in schools and shit today, which is funny that he
Mhm.
mentioned that because like I remember in middle school, I think it was middle school, we were gonna like, oh, let's do Oklahoma. Like that's still something that is done today.
Yeah.
It's still something that we talk about today. And it's if he could have been Hammerstein, this is what the movie told me. He could have been the Hammerstein to Rogers if he hadn't let himself get whether his mental health or his alcoholism or his depression. If he was able to work and not, be drunk all the time. I mean, they got into that fight where he told him he didn't even finish the song and like
Yeah.
so many of these missed opportunities where he could have been just focusing on the work and writing good music and like he as great as he was he could have been potentially so much better than what he was if he wasn't bogged down by life.
Yeah, and even Hopperstein was very familiar with like, I know that I'm not as good as you. Like you probably like Hart was like criticizing some of the lyrics that were chosen. He's like, I would have done this instead of that and stuff like that. So like, who knows? Oklahoma could have been even better.
Yeah.
If if he was because they've already like Hart and Rogers already had that relationship that they would have carried on. But now what's living in history was the Happerstein and Rogers, connection rather than the Hart. But either way, I think I grew to like this movie more
Yeah, I agree.
toward the end than I did at the beginning. And also mainly because of its quick dialogue and Ethan Hawke's performance. Like it was very engaging to kind of see him go through all of this. And then also just at the same time, you kind of felt sorry for him, and then you got like this heartbreak of all this as well. And I think he's like fully aware of everything that's going on, but he's just like blindly either ignoring it and or accepting it at the same time.
I think it would have hit harder for me if I had gotten a little bit more lead in of his relationship with Richard Rodgers. Like, for those who don't know, like, give us something in the beginning that showcases their career together, and then show us a scene where he decides to work with Hammerstein on this next project, and then go through that downfall with him leading into the bar.
And I think that's the problem with these movies like this, where it's like, as an audience, like, and as like, in a way, high prestige films, quote unquote, you should the movie sometimes doesn't feel like it should have to spoon feed you that information.
But that's
But
what
I
it should. That's what it
sorry?
definitely. That's what it definitely should. It definitely should
Yeah.
have told us. That's just information, because it would have gave us context on why he was acting the way that he was acting, as opposed to
Right.
us figuring it out in the, because that's really once Richard Rodgers got there and after
Yes.
Elizabeth got there, that's when I started to like fully become on board. Like, I was kind of
100%.
passively watching, but once that happened and you get a sense of their interaction and of their history, I said, oh, well, it makes sense. Well, this is why he's doing this. This is why he's acting this way. So like, I felt like I was playing catch up to that point. So I probably
Yes.
missed. So who knows? There's probably some other really good moments that I missed because I was too lost in trying to figure out where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think Andrew Scott did one hell of a performance
Oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
well. Like, I mean, at this point, Ethan Hawke was the only person nominated for this movie for his performance, and I think it's well deserved. Just first and foremost, I think that was a well deserved nomination. Seeing it, in the movie, I know a lot of people were giving a lot of credit for Margaret Qualley, and I think she was good,
She was fine.
but I much preferred Andrew Scott's performance as Richard Rodgers. I think he gave a little bit more compelling performance than um as like a good secondary to Ethan Hawke.
Mm.
But yeah, 5-star rating.
Let's see. 5-star rating. I'm gonna go with 4 stars, because I think it was a little slow in the beginning, but it did once it caught me up, like, as I kind of just mentioned, I was fully invested. And for a movie to be so dialogue heavy and to
Yes.
still be so invested, like, that has to speak for something.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a 3.5, but I can meet you at a 4. Like I was like bouncing between 3.5 and 4. But yeah, I can meet you with a 4 on that as well. I think I think because it was I think some of the dialogue, because it was a little bit fast paced, it was a hindrance in the beginning, but then like it was a compliment at the end of it. Especially like some of the dialogue was just out there sometimes. Like it's kind of like you just moved right past it.
And I was
And
like,
I
some
think
of it's like, it felt like it was over my head. Like, I was like,
yes,
I was like, I think I'm too dumb to appreciate what just happened.
there was one line where he goes, it's he's like, what's I forgot exactly what the setup was, but he was like, what's more fascinating than an erect penis? A half penis. Or like a half erect penis. Because it shows so much mystery and like what it could be and what it was. Because if you show a full erect penis, then it's already out on display.
Yeah.
But if you see a half erect penis, you don't know what the potential is on it. And that was like, wow, that is a wild thing to say. It's kind of funny though.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dialogue and Ethan Hawke's performance, I think they were both properly nominated for those two categories. And yeah, a 4 out of 5 is a good rating for it. All right, let's move on to the next category, which is the nominees for for actress in a leading role. We have Jessie Buckley in Hamnet, Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue, Renee Resniv in Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone in Begonia. In a few minutes, we're going to be talking about Rose Byrne's performance in If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, as well as Kate Hudson's performance in Song Sung Blue. But very quickly, talk about some of the other nominees on this list. Jessie Buckley in Hamnet. That was her movie.
She was absolutely, and as much as I did not care for the movie,
Yeah.
she was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this movie is so gut wrenching and so sad, and like
Dense.
there's a peak in her performance in the end when she's dealing with the death of her son, and it's like it just seemed so real.
Mhm.
Like you want to talk about suspension of the belief, like as far like that moment in the film just really sells it for me. And when she at the end when she sees what Shakespeare, played by Paul Mescal, how when he puts together Hamlet basically for her and for their family, and how it's like this whole message of for them to process their grief, and how this is a way for her son to never be forgotten,
Mhm.
because he's gonna live forever in this story. Like it just watching her accept that and just kind of go through that in the theater. Like I just like that. I think about that moment in the film. Like it just
Yeah.
like it just hits so hard, and I think she just played that role so well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And also, I don't know if Paul Mescal was being looked at as best supporting actor or lead actor, but after just discussing about Ethan Hawke's performance, I think Ethan Hawke gave a much stronger performance and deserved that spot rather than Paul Mescal in um like in Hamnet, as far as a comparison after now watching all the nominees. But back to Jessie Buckley, yes, I 100% agree with you. That visceral moment of her losing her child, as well as um, like toward the very end of her discovering basically what her husband has been doing when he was away, and kind of honoring the the death of her son. She made that movie more interesting than I think we cared for the movie to be otherwise. Renette Resniff's performance in Sentimental Value was very emotional. It felt very sad. And like just seeing the complexities of like her going through these difficult family dynamics, as well as her own internal life, and like the relationship with her father and her sister. I think that was like a really great performance in the mix there. And then Emma Stone, committed
Yeah.
committed performance. Like if Jesse Buckley performance was raw, and Renette Resniff's performance was emotional and sad, Emma Stone's performance was committed. Like she understood the assignment, and I loved her performance in that movie.
Yeah, she was great. I like it. And the reveal at the very end, like
Yes.
I think she played it so well that it did come off as like, oh wow, that's what's happening. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It was so believable that it wasn't true until it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, exactly,
Yes.
exactly that.
And I think, yeah, and I think credit to her performance, and Jesse Plemons' performance.
Absolutely.
Uh, like I think they both should have been up there as well, but Emma Stone got the nom there, in that sense, but well deserved for her as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and now we're moving on to let's talk about Rose Byrne's first performance first, and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And it follows while trying to manage her own life and career, a woman on the verge of a breakdown must cope with her daughter's illness, an absent husband, a missing person, and an unusual relationship with her therapist. I think this movie was, first of all, a showcase of Rose Byrne of what she can do as an actress. I will give her that, because she's typically a comedic actor, and she just went off on this movie.
I like it. She was I mean, this is literally probably the best thing I've ever seen her in. She was absolutely, I
Mhm.
mean, she was so good. Um just her trying to deal with her child, and like kind of all these little different aspects in her life, and just like I don't know, I like the way that she responded to anything that was happening. It was just there's something that was just so like her like dark comedic take on everything. Like everything was just like a kind of like, oh whatever, like I don't know, like I didn't leave my child. like or her trying to buy drugs from the guy next door. It's just a series, like she just went through like a series of bad decisions. I also thought it was, to me, I know this movie's nominated for Best Actress, but there's something so purposeful about the way that this movie is shot. Like
Yes.
there's so many tight shots of Rose Byrne. Like you literally don't even see her daughter until the very end of the movie. Like it's just very interesting. It's like it's almost like, but it was almost tied into way the story was told, because it's like she's just dealing with her trauma, so she doesn't really see her daughter for the person that she is. But it wasn't until she goes through like this big emotional journey at the very end, and then she finally sees her, and even she almost died at sea.
Well, I think she was trying to commit suicide.
Oh,
That's
she
the way I
absolutely,
took it.
yeah, she
Yeah,
absolutely
okay.
was. She absolutely was. Everything has come to a head. I also really liked Conan O'Brien's performance. I thought that he played really
Yes.
well as like a co therapist, but like he was like kind of like the manager, but also like just trying to deal with Rose Byrne as a character. And I just felt like he nailed it. Like he was just so good. Like I just didn't expect this good a performance from him either.
Yeah, it's funny because even the headliners are Rose Byrne, Conan O'Brien, and ASAP Rocky.
Wild.
Not a wild collection of people attached to this pretty like it's classified as a dark comedy, psychological drama, and a thriller. And there were some moments that were just really unsettling in this movie. They made some really aesthetic choices into
Mm,
making it feels like almost like depression was this horrific thing, which it is.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I think they were like visually showcasing her diving deeper and deeper into depression and like all these things that are piling on her plate. And especially like we have the inciting incident with the roof leaking onto
Yes.
her, either apartment building or townhouse or whatever it is. But in their home, you have like this giant ass hole on her roof, and then it just started flooding her apartment. And then they have to start living in a hotel with their daughter's illness, and like there is a lot building up to like this like anxiety and like this pressure that she is not only as a person but as a woman because you have this husband who they're constantly fighting over like the work that's being done and he's unsure why these things aren't getting done and she did a really like snapback amazing line where she was like well I work too like you know what I mean it's like you're away doing whatever you want and I'm also here dealing with all this shit and I'm working it's not like I'm not a housewife
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not your caretaker. I'm not like, basic. I'm not your bitch. Like I got other responsibilities here on top of work, who is also providing a living for this family. And she feels like she's alone in all of this.
Which I thought was so interesting. You brought it like bringing up the whole because there's a moment when she brings ASAP Rocky into the house. He's
Yeah.
like, "You moved out for that? Like you could have just moved into another room." Like so, there's like this aspect of like her taking her problems and making them larger than they need to be, and that
Yeah.
seemed to be like something that was happening throughout the whole movie. Like the whole her not wanting to park, just park the fucking car and walk your kid in.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
why do you have to be special? Like, you don't need to get this special treatment. You could be like everybody else and park your car, walk your ass inside, and walk your ass out back to your car. Like,
Yes.
you're making a small problem into a much bigger, or you're taking a non-issue and turning it into a major issue.
That's actually a really good point because I never really thought of it that way as well. Because there's a lot of moments where she was just being selfish.
Yes.
And like I think like there's just so much on top of like so I think she was just complaining about the little things like you said, like just parking the car, walking your daughter to school, walking back, or even when the doctors were after her, is like, hey, we need to have this
Mm,
conversation, and she's not really making the time to have a proper conversation with the doctors to do the next steps. And then on top of that, not having the time to do the right thing the doctors wanted to do outside the doctor's offices for the child and the illness and everything like that. And looks like she was trying to find like the cheap and convenient way out of situations so she doesn't have to deal with it. Um,
yes.
and then there was to me a huge twist in the movie when we find out that she's a therapist.
Yes.
And so she's going through all of this stuff, and then she has to listen to other people's problems and pretend to care. I was like, oh shit. That was to me, I was like, oh damn, that's like you got issues, lady.
A therapist
Like
who needs therapy.
a therapist who needs therapy. And yeah, and I think that's like her world isn't perfect either. And then she's also like complaining to her therapist, which is Conan O'Brien, and then you have Conan O'Brien who's like, "I don't want to hear about your dreams," and then you have like, and then complaining like giving him shit for doing things in the dream that never happened, and then as a therapist, she's listening to the same thing from another kid that that's going to her for the same advice, and he's like, "Well, it didn't happen. I did not do those things. We did not have sex." Like you have to reassure them that this isn't real. And then she's doing the same thing to her therapist, which I just kind of just showcases how unstable she is, or just like a switch kind of comes about like to her and be like, okay, you can come see me now, and like the different hats she has to wear at any given time. And then she's just looking to do drugs and just forget it all.
It was also interesting, her patient who was struggling with being a mom, because
Mhm.
she was also going through the same thing. And I think like having that connection and that lady like running out on her kid is part of the reason why she tried to do the same thing. I mean, she runs to the same part of the beach and
Yeah.
tries to disappear just as she did. She goes, I wonder, it was I thought it was a really great plot point to have her there, because it kind of gave her something to reflect on. It's like, I'm sitting here struggling and this bitch just ran away and just ran away from her problems. It's like, how much more fucked up could I be? It's like, why don't I just fucking run away?
Yeah, and I also think that there's like there's a lot of things that she had no control over that she was just getting shit for. Like, for example, like with the hole and the guy filling the hole and fixing the problem. He's like, well, my mom just died, so it's gonna be another week. And like there was no sympathy for that. It's like, what about this hole? It's like, well, I guess it's just gonna have to wait. Then you had like when the baby, like when the mother left the baby at with her care, she was like the husband was like giving her shit. It was like, well, I can't pick up this baby. I'm at work. It's like, well, this is not my problem.
Yeah.
Looks like you need to get out of work and pick up your child because this is no longer my responsibility. And then eventually had to get the cops involved. And then a couple days later, that husband is reaching out to her. It's like, hey, where's my wife? It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know? Why are you calling me about that bullshit? Like, well, you lost my wife. It's like, I didn't lose anybody.
She's a grown ass
Um,
woman. She walked out on her own accord.
Right. So I feel like there's a lot of like problems that she was making worse, but also piled on her that she had nothing to like nothing to deal with.
Yeah. And instead of like trying to deal with it logically, she just used it as part of her like, of, woe is me. This is why my life sucks.
Right. And then you also have this daughter, which I think was very interesting, not showing the daughter's face.
Yes.
And I was watching another review on this movie, and they made a really good point of saying that, like, I think once we would have seen the daughter or any sort of child, we would have instantly felt sympathy for the child.
Mm.
The fact that we never saw her face, it to me, the daughter just came off as annoying. But she was also like, mommy do this, mommy do that, and just like just being a child. But also we were seeing it from the point of the mother.
Yeah.
So at that point we feel sympathy for the mother rather than feeling sympathy for this child who is probably being neglected in some way.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
also there's certain foods he couldn't touch, and she's only able to do this. And the daughter really wants a hamster. Then just to get that out of the way, you give the daughter the hamster, but then she doesn't want the hamster anymore because of like she doesn't know how to take care of it, and it just keeps building this anxiety, and then the hamster runs out of the car.
Fucking crazy scene, and then he gets run over. Oh my god, what a she's like, everybody's just screaming.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god.
And then the daughter's like, oh my god, you killed the hamster, and then it's the mother's fault for getting the hamster out of the car.
See, but
and like,
I was gonna say there's another example, because she originally told her no. And then she went back and found her, and then I forgot what the reasoning was, but she went back and then told her yes, like, oh yeah, let's get the hamster.
Well, she just said yes to the hamster because she was getting frustrated that she didn't want to park the car. So and then she was telling her daughter like, hey, how about you just be a big girl and like walk yourself in? And then she's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not what we do. It's like, I'll get you the hamster if you just walk yourself in. And then that was like a bribe basically to be like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's when bribery goes wrong as parenting. It's like you should have just stuck to your guns. But see, but that's her like trying to take care of an issue, but you once again made the situation worse.
Yes, exactly. And I think I think the title's also interesting. If I had legs, I'd kick you. I didn't really quite the meaning. I was waiting for her to lose her legs at some point. And
because think about it, if you have your legs kicked out from underneath you, like you're falling by your wayside because you've had your legs kicked out, like you can't.
I guess I never thought of. I took it as a literal sense, but you were saying is that what if the action of if I had legs, I'd kick you, and you're like, oh, that's actually a really good way of looking at it. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's more of like a metaphorical, emotional thing. Like if I had legs, I would kick them from out underneath you so that you can fall down like I did. Like like if she but she's so underwater that she doesn't even have legs because they're already gone.
Yeah, that's a point. That's a good point as well. I feel like this movie is something I really don't want to watch again.
No,
it's just like this anxiety-inducing, like kind of like this black hole that she keeps digging herself in, and also inadvertently and inadvertently just like getting herself into situations and then also being put upon situations. Because even like when she realized like she's like with the surgery for her daughter and like they had to take the tube out, and it's like, oh wait, there's no surgery, you're just taking the tube out, and then she does just that, and
Mm,
we never understand what the illness her daughter has. But I think again that's also important because it really stuck us to her
yeah.
as a character. Like she was the focal point, she was the point of view, she was the person that we were following, and everybody else didn't matter. Even to the point where like eventually Christian Slater came into play as the husband. But at most of the movie, he was just also a voice on the phone as she was experiencing frustration. So I think overall, an interesting movie, a great showcase for Rose Byrne, and
100%.
even for Conan O'Brien and ASAP Rocky as well. 5-star rating on this.
I'm kind of between a 4 and a 4.5 because there's just the cinematography. Like I just felt like was so purposeful and it just worked. It's just another one of those stories that are kind of like I don't know. I think her performance really obviously really carried it, but like there was a couple of like how we were talking about how certain things just kind of stuck out in the movie for me. Like the whole hole
Yeah.
in the wall, like her creating problems. Like I felt like they were things they gave to us without spoon feeding us the information.
Yes, yes, and I would probably lean more to a 4. I don't think
Okay,
I can go as far as the half on that one.
I figured as much.
Yeah, but I do think if anything, because it's weird because I watched this movie as I'm also actively watching Platonic season 2,
Mm,
and it's just night and day performances from Rose Byrne on
yes,
that. And like it's funny because like even season 2 is kind of wearing down on me.
yeah.
Like I don't did you ever started season 2 of Platonic?
I don't remember if I told you, but I think I finished it. I'm pretty sure I
You
finished it.
did.
I think I did.
Okay. I'm still going through it, and like Megan and I are like slowly watching the season because like okay, yeah, we can watch an episode, and then like we were just really not into it anymore. And then it's kind of what we kind of said like last time about Platonic was like I think it was like a good what appeared to be a standalone miniseries, but then it continues on to a season 2, and I feel like there was just not enough there for a second season.
Yeah, and I think they're getting one more, aren't they? Aren't they getting a
Oh,
third
I had
season?
no idea. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be coming back for a third. I do wanna finish the second season because then we have, like, 3 more episodes left, so I'm gonna do that, but based on how it ends, I don't think I care much about that particular story. Like, it's not
There's
as
some pretty good
funny as I
stuff.
want it to be.
That's true. Hold on. So let me, if I remind myself correctly, the season 2 is them dealing with the wedding
Yes.
and the planning of the wedding and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. There's some. I mean, there's some pretty good stuff in there. There's some.
There's pretty good stuff in there. I think right now I'm on the either 1 episode or 2 episodes removed from the wedding. So, like, I saw the wedding, I
Mm.
saw what happened after that, and then they went on this road trip, and that was the last episode that I
All
watched.
right. Well, when you're done, I will talk. I want to hear. I
We can
want to
talk
hear your
about it,
thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts because there are some good moments in there.
Yeah,
That I
so
want
like
to
I
bring
said,
up.
it's a Megan and I show, so we're just like, because even there's some days where she's like, "You want to watch this?" I'm like,
You got to tell her, no, I have to talk about it on the show. We have to capitalize on your time here.
we need to finish the season.
But I don't care. We have to watch it. I don't care.
I don't care anymore. We're finishing it, damn it. We started, we got to finish it. It's the bingers way.
You signed up for this.
Yeah.
How will I tell my 12 fans about the show?
Megan, you don't understand. They need to know every thought that we have on every single thing that we watch. And we're leaving them hanging if I don't tell them.
How will you know?
How would they know?
Okay, we need to.
All right.
Let's move on.
Yes. So 4 stars for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I think it was at the beginning, it was an unconventional nomination, but after watching the movie, I can see it.
Totally see it.
All right, and the last movie you're going to be talking about this week and rounding out our lead actors nomination is Kate Hudson's performance in Song Sung Blue. The movie follows Lightning and Thunder, a Milwaukee husband and wife Neil Diamond tribute act experience, soaring tribute act experience, soaring success, and devastating heartbreak in their musical journey together. I would first start off and say this because as I was going into this movie, I knew this was based off a documentary, and I also heard the documentary was better than the movie.
Okay.
Putting it out there, so I knew a little bit about. And also, it's a weird thing to make a movie about. Not the first thing you kind of come out. It's not a movie about Neil Diamond and his career. It's about the tribute band of Neil Diamond and the ups and downs they had on that front. I think to me, it definitely feels better as a documentary. I did not watch the documentary, but it seems better fitted for a documentary than it does for a movie. However, when you have the star power of Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, then obviously, you make a movie about it. But I find it interesting that out of all the plethora of movies we could be making, you decided this one got through the green light to go all the way through. It was an interesting movie nonetheless. But I will start with this. This was more Hugh Jackman's movie than it was Kate Hudson's movie.
Uh, yeah, yes and no. I mean, she has a humongous arc throughout this film, especially like in the very middle. Like the whole turn of the film is based off of her in her recovery. But I see what you're saying. Whereas as how it started and it ended with him.
Yes, and I just feel like as far as like giving someone the nomination for lead actress, I never saw her. I mean, she is a lead, but
Yes.
I feel like the movie focused more on Hugh Jackman than they did with her, as opposed to all the other nominations that were on the list. Like you can 100% see that they were the lead and the focal point of that movie. Whereas Kate Hudson, in some parts, felt like it was a supporting actor for Hugh Jackman because, to your point, we were starting and ending the movie with him rather than them.
That's a fair point. So okay, given that, what did you think?
I enjoyed the movie. I think out of all the movies we've talked about in this episode, this was the most palatable one to watch. Like it
I
was very straightforward. It was like there wasn't this like I don't have to do this mountain of research in order to understand it. It was right there from start to finish. I feel like this movie came out on Christmas Day, right Christmas movie.
yes.
It has the uplifting songs, it has the emotional beats. It also had some emotional turns that I was not expecting in this movie as well.
Yeah, because so I didn't know anything about this story, so I went into it very blind. And it's about a tribute band, but it's kind of speaking to like the grit of human beings and like
Mhm.
how what happens when two lost souls come together and try to do a thing. And I mean, I feel like that's what we got. And this movie is like heart wrenching because, they build their career together. And then Kate Hudson, unfortunately, her character, she gets hit by a car and loses her leg. And you watch her go through this, this deep, deep depression. And Hugh Jackman is like a recovering alcoholic.
Mhm.
And, he's having to help her through that, but he's also dealing with like, he was lightning. He was attached to this thing, and now that she's hurt, like that whole big part of his life is gone. Oh, and this underlying thing that he has a bad heart, and we see that
Mhm.
through multiple times in the film, where like he just has a heart attack. I mean, when Kate Hudson's character is in the hospital, and actually I didn't look. There was a couple of parts of the movie that I was like, did that really happen? And
Yeah.
so her getting hit by the car, that really happened. When the car came back and hit their house again in close to the same spot, just right after she got hit, that also happened. This one about her. So there's a point in the movie where they're all dealing with her losing her leg, and he goes in the other room and talks to the daughter, and he's like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she has to like basically like bring him back to life in the middle of it. I don't know if that
Right.
part actually happened. But I mean, to me, it's just crazy what these people went through. I mean, them rekindling their career and coming back, and like him dying right before he got to meet Neil Diamond. That part wasn't true, but I think like the underlying of like where they were in their career, that it was meant that was probably going to be the logical thing to happen
Right.
very soon, was for them to actually meet him, and for them to lose him so soon and to be such a positive impact on their family. Like I
Yeah.
see what you're saying, because to me, I resonated with Hugh Jackman's character more than I did with her, but I did feel for her for like having to go through all this and like having to go through the next stage of her life without her person. Like that is like I mean I was crying at the end of the movie. Like it was like it was very emotional. Like Kate Hudson
Yeah.
and Hugh Jackman performed all the songs in the movie. I mean I mean you have of course we knew Hugh Jackman was going to, but I didn't realize that Kate Hudson is like an artist. Like she's like
Yeah.
a musical artist. So like she does her own music and they sing really well together. I mean, it was just the movie was entertaining. Like
Yes, it was.
there was parts where it was funny. There's parts where it was very sad. There's parts where it was just very heartwarming. And I gotta know, like this movie just kind of hit all the beats for me.
Yeah, I think it was like a good recipe for and granted, not as gut wrenching as I'm about to say this as a comparison.
Okay.
But this movie, in a way, felt a little bit like the Iron Claw, where I felt like that when they were getting like their momentum in their career, something devastating happens, and then it's just a down spiral from that moment when they were building up to the height of their potential that
Yeah.
they could have been as this. And I think the welcoming embrace and like the commitment to like what they are, I think it was a good setup for like I don't want to be like just doing these random like impersonations. I still I still want to have the art of being a tribute band, but I wanted for it to be an experience. And I think they were able to showcase so much commitment to being this Neil Diamond tribute band that it rallied a whole community together in the Milwaukee area to kind of go with them. And it wasn't about just recreating the songs. It was about creating an experience of getting people together. And I think to me that was like the heartwarming message around the story is that you don't have to be famous like Neil Diamond, but as long as you're just here, and they said it before, we're just here to entertain people and have a good time. And that's exactly what they did in every venue that they were at.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were just bringing joy to a lot of people and having like they were selling out venues.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that's just like they didn't really like, kind of harper on that. They just kind of showcased that yes, they were successful at one point and they had a good gig going and they were just happy to play at a casino. Like that was like the end goal for them. It wasn't like they didn't want to be famous. They just wanted to have a good enough run to support themselves and entertain and and be, be in the world of entertainment and be artists and do this and do that. And they knew that they could sing. And I think that's something like eh, they even showcased that when they was in the AA meetings of like, there's a point in your life where you realize like when you're a kid, there's so much hope and aspirations, but the hardest part of being an adult is realizing your dreams are not coming true. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that this movie showcases that a version of your dream may not have come true, but you can still strive for something within your own limits and still be happy with it. And in
Yes.
this case, it was like they found a dream to be the best, that there is about, about this cover band and they excelled into it. And then unfortunately, where the heartbreaking stuff comes into play is that they were dealing with hardships along the way. And I think that they even showcase some of that where like when they became a family and the daughter was like fixing the car and they're like, we're not buying a new car family, we're band-aid. Like we don't have the money to fix cars and buy new cars when they're broken. Like we have like this oil that's gonna fix the radiator right now type of family. We're gonna, keep kicking this until it goes to the ground type of deal.
I mean, I also love at the very end, like how they just paid homage to him. I mean, the son, he's watching the tape of him of his sober birthday, and then like he's drinking a cup of coffee. I mean, that moment just fucking
Yeah.
kills me because it's like there's so much being said in that one moment that they put together. Like, showcasing like every time when he wanted a drink, he would go for a cup of coffee, and like how he
Yeah.
translated that to his son, and now that's a thing that he uses to remember him by, like just drinking a cup of coffee, listening to him sing his songs, and just like what a positive impact this man had on all these kids' life because they weren't his kids, but at the end, it like very from the jump, they're calling him Papa and Dad, like
Yeah.
because he was just this great figure within their life, and I mean it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Like to be honest,
and
like, it was so beautiful, but yet so sad.
Yeah, and I think even showcasing like the son who ended up um really having a small role in this movie. I just felt like he was just like this kid that was always happy. Like I
Yes.
never really said much of any two words at any given time. Whether rather than the daughter had a much more pivotal part in the movie than and I know I don't mean to shit talk Kate Hudson, but I feel like the daughter had more of a pivotal role in the movie with the relationship of Hugh Jackman than they did with Kate Hudson as the partner. Like I think they focus on Hugh Jackman and the daughter's relationship as strongly as they did with husband and wife type of deal. And I just found that that's an interesting tactic when that connection was clearly not there with the son. But he was just kind of like a bystander, not a bystander, but like a passing character. Whereas, like with the daughter, we see her going through a pregnancy, and like then we also see her the influences that he has to her of like she clearly, without really seeing it, we saw that he probably taught her how to change the oil in her car and to be more like a more mechanic. Like she was like, "Oh, the radiator is out." She knows exactly what the problem was. Like, "Oh, you got to do this." And like we see her fixing her boyfriend's car. He's like, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. She's just showing me." And like you can tell that she's like she took a through his mentorship. Not only was he able to be a good father to her, well, not only was he able to kind of teach her a few things to get by, especially with the car, he was also that way showcasing that he was a good father. And I think to the children that you like you said that wasn't his. And I think at the very end, to your point, where like you have the son drinking the cup of coffee, watching the video, you have the wife going to plant the flowers she's been wanting to do for quite some time, and then you have the daughter fixing up her car, and then now being a lookout for other cars in case they come back for round three. I do think it was. I think you're right. I think it had a lot of the same. Like it had all the emotional beats. It was uplifting, it was emotional, it was entertaining. The music was really good. Um, and yeah, I just feel there's a part of me that does not see the nomination for Kate Hudson.
Yeah, I can see that, but I felt like there was enough there for her to earn the nomination. Just showing her going through that addiction and kind of dealing with that, and like finding a way to come back. When she sees him die in the car. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I was in it, and plus this is a movie I watched with my wife, so we kind of like you're watching this love story unfold, so it kind of just
Yeah.
hits a little bit harder when you're watching it with somebody. I was like, man, if you died, I'd be fucked. I was like, you should know I ain't shit without you. It's like,
Yeah, or just like just don't do that, all right?
it's like if
Please.
you were gone, like this shit would fall apart. Like
Like, look, if you lose your leg, we can work through that.
I'm gonna
But
help
we
you figure it
can't-
out. I'm gonna help you figure it out. I'm gonna give you my leg because this cannot happen.
But I think it was a really good movie though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like I think it was like it had a lot of heart to it.
Yes.
And I think it also just as far as their relationship is concerned, what's also even equally as heartbreaking was that they found each other in life and not only for a passion for to do this, Neil cover tribute band, but also the passion to find love at an older age. Like they've all gone through their own experiences, they have
Mhm.
their own children, but yet they were able to move past all that and have this really nice connection within music, and then also form a family around that as well. And then the heartbreaking fact that it feel like it ended so quickly after it was, you know, forming together, and the fact that they were able to stick together through all the hardships, is equally as sad. Um, I do want to very quickly look at the box office for this movie because I think it did somewhat rather well. This was around the holidays, so a lot was going on with this movie, and like there was a lot of other movies surrounding it, so I'm not sure exactly the huge impact around it.
I got it.
You got it right here. I'm gonna look at the what's it called? Nope. Um, look at the budget on this. This movie had a budget of $30 million. Okay, the movie had a budget of $30 million. It looks like it opened. I think if I remember correctly, it opened at number three, and it was like it says right here, opened domestically with $7 million. At the time of this recording, it had $39.1 million domestically, $18 million internationally. with a grand total of $57.1 million worldwide. Not a bad, not a bad number considering it had a budget of 30. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like a huge profit, but enough to double its budget, almost double its budget. So not that bad during the holiday season. And like a movie that having the star power of Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman. Which funny enough, with Hugh Jackman, it was hard for me to like. There's some verses that when he was singing, I couldn't help but to think like there were just some things where the way he said it, and I was waiting for the next line to be, "Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you're waiting for."
I mean, how many musical biopics we gonna get him in? Probably is whatever we can. I mean, the man can sing and dance. So
that's right. That's what he loves to do, man. He's on tour right now. He's on tour singing and dancing.
exactly.
Good for him.
And it's funny because we were looking at it and we were like, wow, he looks kind of skinny. I was like, no. Look at those neck muscles. He is still fucking Wolverine under there. It's like, don't get it twisted. Like that man is jacked.
They don't call him Hugh Jackman for nothing.
Facts.
But it's so funny because it's like the joke in Deadpool Wolverine where it's like, he's going to play Wolverine till he's 90. And I feel like with Doomsday and Secret Wars coming up, he's got to be in it.
It's like, you ain't getting nowhere, bitch. We got you.
Yeah.
We brought you back to life after Logan. You're ours now.
You're keeping the muscles, Jackman.
Yeah.
Don't slim up too much.
Put those fucking claws back on, bitch.
5-star rating on this.
I'm gonna go between a 4 and a 4.5, but I know you don't feel that way, so I'm gonna say 4.
I can meet you with a 4.5 on this one.
Wow.
I don't want to be too cynical. I know some of my problems are my problems. You're right. I was definitely there with like the 4, but if you're feeling 4.5, I can meet you at a 4.5.
Oh, I'm definitely feeling a 4.5, but I was gonna downgrade myself for you, Matthew.
Well, I'm upgrading myself for you.
Look
That's
at
what we
that.
do here at Box
We
Office.
We give and take. This is how much we love each other.
That's right. It's tit for tat. But yeah, I do think it was a really good movie overall. Like yes, I do have my small problems with it, but I also recognize this is more of a me thing and less about the overall movie as a whole. I think it achieved its goal of creating an entertaining, heartbreaking, heartwarming movie all in one. Like they did a really good job with that. But yeah, I think it works with a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
There you go. That is our breakdown and reviews. I just very quickly going back to the actress categories. I think everybody is deserving of their nominations. I do think I have a small reserve for Kate Hudson in her performance of being like, I think it was really good, but Oscar nominated good. That I'm not sure if I can be 100% down for, but I think. But I can see it. I can see that it's there. It's just for me not the strongest nomination.
Who would you have seen? Who would you rather have seen in her place?
That's a good question. I think I have to go back down the list. I know we had a couple people on the list before, and like to see where the nomination was. I'll have to go down our notes again and see who was snubbed for that. But I think right now the front runner is. I think right now is between two of the people who have been winning the awards in the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes are Jessie Buckley and Rose Byrne.
Yes.
And I think Rose Byrne just actually won in another smaller award circuit. I forgot which one it was, but I know she grabbed another award for that. So I think those are your two front runners right there for Jessie Buckley and Rose Byrne, which is interesting that Rose Byrne is just getting that notoriety because I honestly wouldn't have expected it. But I think, I can understand it after watching the movies. But yeah, we'll be diving more into our predictions of who we think will win as we dive closer into our predictions episode as we continue the road to the Oscars. And we'll be doing all of that next week as when we talk about our documentaries and our documentary shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And as Ernesto has been warning me, they are gut wrenching.
Yeah, be prepared to be fucking depressed. I'm like, you switch like every year when we do these. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna save them for last because I want to watch all this other stuff first, and then I get to the documentaries and I'm like, Whew. Oh man. Oh gosh. So I knocked them out first. So I've had time to like digest and sit on them, and some of them are very fucking sad. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
Yeah, I know the documentaries are typically the ones where I'm just like, okay, gotta mentally prepare for
they're
these.
very good. There are some really good documentaries this year, but they're just be prepared to be sad and make you
Noted.
really really appreciate your life.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait to dive into those discussions. But if you want more from us, if you want more from us, you can always follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers. Our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger. Excuse me, and our Threads page and Instagram page at box office_bingers. The fun doesn't stop here. It continues on all of our social media channels. So be sure to give each one of those a follows. You can see our movie reviews on our Letterbox page, as well as our Facebook, Threads, and Instagram page. See our lovely faces on our YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram pages with our fun little reels. And we tell you what's new to streaming every Friday. We tell you the box office numbers every Sunday. And yeah, be sure to give you watch. You're not going to regret uh following any of those social media channels because there's always a good time over there. Um, yeah, I'm gonna keep repeating myself as I typically do around this time of the show. But yeah, come back next week when we continue our road down the Oscars of talking about the documentaries and the documentary shorts and other things we've been watching in our What You're Watching segment. We are going ever more closer to our predictions episode, where we compile everything that we've watched and we give you the encompassing predictions and see how many we get right or wrong or all this stuff. It's that time of year, Ernesto. Time of year we give honor to the Oscars, and we're doing just that.
I can't wait. I mean, this year
Yeah.
we say it every year, we're more and more prepared, but this year, I mean, we're weeks out and we're pretty much done already.
Yeah, which is weird. Which is
Yeah.
weird because typically like it's like last minute, it's like getting this, getting that, and we're like, all right, we're doing a pretty good pace here.
Like I
Um,
think I've got that one documentary that we're having trouble getting, which is Cutting Through Rocks, that we're having a hard time finding, and that weird 3-hour movie Kuko that's going to be coming to theaters. Oh, and
Yes.
the docu short Children No More, We Are Gone. That one's also not really available. But that's it, unless we do these original song ones. The
I know
Diane
you don't
Warren
count
one.
those.
But I don't know, Matt. I'm gonna have the time this year. I might just watch them. I might just watch it anyway, just because I'm so caught up.
I think one of them is available on Canopy, if not mistaken. So
Yeah.
easy. It's accessible. It's not hard to reach.
Well, I guess it's gonna happen.
I guess why not?
I
at
got
this
weeks.
point? Make,
I don't have a choice. I have weeks until the Oscars. Like, what point do I have to not watch it? Same thing with
Yeah,
this other.
finish
This other
the full
make-
50.
Yeah, exactly. This just like
but-
this other
but-
one that we have left.
Yes. Yes, we are winding down, and then also other movies that we haven't talked about yet. There's like the Lost Bus and the visual effects category. We have a couple in the hair and makeup category.
Oh yeah.
That we're just going to be bundling them into our predictions episode. No point of saving them for another episode. We'll just briefly talk about them when we get to those categories in our predictions episode. So we appreciate you sticking with us as we go down the road to the Oscars, and kind of just going along with this ride with us. So come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
And I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.